chat, where the fuck do we start? There's class changes, delves, warbands, Ian interview. Yeah, I would like to listen to an interview, but maybe after I give my initial takes. Oh, wait, they have information on lower gear cap. So Heroic Week returns in War Within, which I already mentioned. So if you guys don't know what that means, at the beginning of Dragonflight, for the first time ever, the Mythic Raid simultaneously released with Heroic and Normal, and usually there was a week of just Normal and Heroic before that. This led to a lot of issues, famously Razageth's tuning. They said, like, you know, oh, well, the class trees and stuff were new, and we tuned the AoE phase for full AoE talents and the single target phase for full single target talents. Whoopsie. And then they fixed that. They would have caught that with Heroic Week. You would have seen that on Heroic Razageth or other fights, that was clearly not how that was working with actual information on it. You guys are really mad about splits during the race right now. That was a Dragonflight problem. When you have Heroic Week, there are still splits in Mythic, but it's like half a day. It's nothing. Like when Mythic is out, you are in Mythic, basically, with this change. So for the race, it's an awesome change for viewership. People just in general hated the, oh, Mythic is out, but we're going to do splits for 3 days. That is no longer going to be a thing. And then they do have an interview answer about this, and I want to actually look at this. So, because I'm not sure what they were doing with capping, because like I don't know how Crest will work. Let's see. Michael Bybee said, he was the guy in our Q&A. I wasn't familiar with Michael Bybee, but he seemed really smart in a lot of the answers he was given. So to be a little bit more specific here, one of the considerations for War Within is for the first time in World of Warcraft history, we are doing an early access period for people to be able to, okay. One of the very major goals was allowing that was that I didn't feel like it gave folks an advantage, especially in any power race. So that 3-day early access will give folks the ability to play through story content. Yeah, that's not a... Then we'll have a... Let's see. Then we'll have a period where we'll actually have access to Mythic Zero system without the season having gone live. And then the season will start. You'll have your Heroic Week, and then you'll have the rest of the content unlocked. But I don't know exactly... Is there more context? Because Dragonflight changed the raid release, and not having arbitrary caps, having guilds feel like they have to spend every available hour doing Mythic Plus man. Yeah, but they didn't mention anything about capping gear, right? That's the one thing we actually need answered, is if they're doing Heroic Week. The last time they did Heroic Week, Mythic Plus was capped at like +7 or something. But now that Mythic Plus system has changed, that wouldn't even be above a Mythic 0. So are they not going to have Mythic Plus out the week that Heroic is out? That would be weird. I would think that what you could do is just completely uncap it. Let people play the game. I don't understand why Mythic Plusers would have to wait a week to start Mythic Plus. I think they should just be allowed to play the game. I don't know. It'll also solve a lot of problems for the race. Like currently, again, this is a localized problem to me, but we will have to have significantly less characters if they do that. If there's a ton of spamming in week 1, we can't do that on 12 guys. Which is like, I mean, that just lowers the barrier of entry into this a million. I know that's not relatable to a lot of people, but it would be very good for our space. And keeping players in this for longer. And I don't think Mythic Plusers are going to want to wait a week. And the other thing is, yeah, I've given my take on this before. This hasn't changed. This isn't new information. But the whole 3-day early access thing, I do want to point out, I think is a little lame. Blizzard's trying to frame it as like no one gets an advantage. Everyone gets to just level. But like, I just think the idea of selling early access time, regardless of what you're able to do personally, I just think doesn't fit. I think they're giving a lot of reasons besides the main one, which is just it's an extra little thing they can throw in on their super expensive edition of the expansion. Like they're trying to increase sales. They had a meeting probably, and they were like, hey, how can we get more people to buy our super amazing epic edition of World of Warcraft, which makes us $20 more per copy? Oh, well, let's let them play the game early, right? Other games have done this, which I'm not really a fan of in any game, but I think in an MMO, it's extremely weird, and I'm just not a fan. So I've always said that, though, that this is not new, but it just seems weird to me. They're probably just going to be posting stuff just all day, but man, we might want to just get into an interview. Blizzard official Warbands preview in the War Within. So here's one thing I want to point out about Warbands. We asked them, because we were looking at this, like, okay, you pick your top 4 characters, whatever. You have like a Warband bank, and I think they missed an opportunity to call this the War Bank, but you can put anything in there. You can put any Warbound items, any obviously not bound items, like flasks and whatever, or gold. I don't know what the gold cap is, but instead of having to buy flasks on every character and mail things over, guys, at the beginning of the expansion, buy 100 verse flasks, put them in the Warbank, and every time your alts are going over to do a Mythic Plus, you just easily open the Warbank, grab your stuff, and there's like a central hub for all of your loot. Just playing around that a little bit, that was incredible. That's like insane quality of life and saving a lot of time mailing stuff back and forth. The ability to like actually have all of your gold in a central location and have auction house kind of pull from the warband bank. They need to call it the Warbank. And then I don't know, it's all really good. And then we asked them in a Q&A session, how will warbands affect the gearing of alts? And they almost didn't even let the person finish the question, and they were like, it completely changes everything in regards to gearing your alts. So, like, instead of just having to start your alts and hit max level on your guy and then, like, go get stuff from the auction house, you're going to have warbound gear that your main got, and maybe you'll roll a mage because you got a nice warbound wand or something. And, like, you know you can just start out right off the bat from something your main got on your other character. It's changing their approach on everything you'll get in the game. Everything is account wide, right? From the very beginning. Everything from like the beginning of any idea's inception is all of your characters on your warband are following the same progression, right? So I just think philosophically Blizzard has been at that point since the 9.1.5 in the middle of Shadowlands, but now it kind of solidifies it in that everything from the ground level is built up that way, and I think that's really good. And I just think the quality of life of this is really cool. There's one thing they didn't announce that I think would be really, really nice is I wish that they announced the ability to get more backgrounds. We were talking about this on the Pod EC, which, by the way, if you guys are bored later today, I don't know if it's out right now, but me, Dratnos, and Dork recorded a podcast last night. There it is, 6 minutes ago. And we talked about all this shit for an hour and 20 minutes. So that's there as well. Pod surprise, there's a pod today. What we were hoping is that like certain achievements will give you different backgrounds to this. They do this in Lost Ark, which is like kind of a similar thing. But like, I don't know, wouldn't it be cool if you got the expansion meta achievement and you got a cool War Within background, or you got Keystone Master or Cutting Edge or something, and they gave you like a unique background. It's not something that would majorly affect the game, but it's just a cool collector's thing that you would be able to have a bunch of different backgrounds for your warband. I think that would be really cool. Another game does it. It works out well. Yoinking stuff from other games is always a good idea for every game. So, or put it in Blizzard's shop for Bobby's yacht. Oh, Bobby's gone now. But definitely have it be in-game achievements. That would be really cool. So there's a couple things. I don't want to read all this. I just want to see some highlights. Oh, here we go. New reputations and renown tracks will be warband-wide. A new warband bank will allow you to easily store and share items in your characters, and the ability to collect most item appearances with any character in your warband, regardless of their ability to equip the gear. For transmog people, that's huge. Goals of the warband system. Make playing alternate characters easier and more enjoyable. Right? Data shows that many players already have an alt or 2 or 10 and enjoy playing them, so we want to make playing them feel even better. What's that old meme where it's like, everyone is a fan of this? Like, everyone likes hearing that. Switch between characters without falling behind. There will always be a lot of character-specific progression in World of Warcraft, such as high-end gearing, but whenever it's appropriate, moving progression onto your warband should allow you to freely play multiple characters without losing efficiency or long-term progress. Has anyone this patch wanted to play one of their alts, but the amount of work behind getting the amount of crests you would need to make that character relevant, even though you wanted to play that character, felt like a hurdle you were not going to get over and didn't actually end up playing that alt because of it? The game desperately needs this, right? So I think that's something that warbands can literally solve with the crest system. So maybe even something like crests just straight up being warband wide. But I think there's still more they could do there. Acknowledge the player behind the screen. This is probably a nothing statement. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Clarify which aspects of the game are account-wide versus character-specific. It hasn't always been clear which parts of the game apply to your characters versus your account. We've taken this opportunity to clarify these differences in the UI, as well as replacing the term account with warband throughout the game. Okay, so account-wide is no longer a thing, which is unfortunate, because usually when I say system, everyone says Mage, because system, mad, right? Immediate bad feelings. But then I would just say account-wide, which would make all the people happy. But now account-wide is not even a thing. I have to say warband-wide? I don't know if I can get behind that. It kind of makes me mad. Where's, like, sharing? I want to see some, like... Oh, items and gear in your warband. Okay. Here's, like, your warband bank, whatever. Oh, wait. That's 17 million gold, right? Okay, so I was wondering what the gold cap was going to be on this, but it looks like it's going to be a very large number. It's not limited by 10, so I would imagine this goes up to at least 100. And I only know, like, a few people with more than 100 mil, but then you could obviously just put it on your individual characters. I would say like 0.0000001% of people who play this game have more than 100 million gold. Shack is one of them. Shack is the Iron Bank. Let's see. Any non-soulbound items can go in the Warband Bank. Sang has 50 million gold. And when we were playing 10.2.7 on the PTR last weekend, which, by the way, it's such a whirlwind of things happening all at one time, we had our rings bugged, but it turns out you could trade rings from other PTR characters. So Sang bought a socketed Mythic Amirdrasil BOE ring on his main just to transfer it over to PTR and give us all rings. And I asked him why he did that, because this is fucking PTR. And he just said, I have 50 mil, I don't care. Warbound until equipped gear. Warbound until equipped is a new type of gear binding that we are introducing in the War Within. Gear that is Warbound until equipped can freely be traded across your warband, but becomes soulbound once it's equipped by a character. Okay, so I don't know how relevant this item level is. Wait, isn't that's like literally less than our current shit, right? Yeah, it's like level 68 stuff. Also, I have a feeling that the War Within is going to be goated for one reason. And there's very little logic tied to this. It's just that the last time in this game that we were level 80, it was extremely good. Right? Like, being level 80 in WoW has only been one of the best times ever. So it must be true here too. All right. In the past, item level account bound gear hasn't been available because it used to be in freely traded across characters. We're still working out more of the design details, but current plan is to have Warbound gear available within raids, dungeons, and the new Delves feature. Whenever you earn loot, you will have a small bonus chance to gain additional piece of Warbound gear's personal loot. This gear will be at least one tier lower than any other loot from that source. And it could be gear usable by any class. Okay, so that's fine. If you're doing Mythic track, if you're looting Mythic track stuff, you could be trading your alt's heroic track gear. And that might not be something where you're gearing them up in 1 week, but like something like 2 months into an expansion or 2 months into a patch, you might just have like a full or mostly full heroic set for an alt. That's insane. Bro, I'm not saying WUE. Yeah, we're calling that Warbound gear. Like, we're not calling it woo. We're not calling it woo, right? Okay, enhancing your transmog collection. I don't really care about this, but I bet a lot of you like this shit a lot. I think the basic gist of this is like, if you're a cloth user and you get a plate thing, you can put that in your transmog set because someone in your warband can equip it or some shit like that. So, no, it's not ooh woo. It's not ooh woo. Chat. Do not say ooh woo. Everyone all together. Updated character selection screen. Again, guys, my screen, and it's okay that this is true, but it's also important that we all acknowledge it, that my warband screen is going to look better than all of yours combined. It's going to look like a clown party in the woods. Okay, the warband system is an evergreen feature that we plan on continuing to expand in the future. Okay, warbands, woo. All right, you guys want to talk about Delves? That's the new major expansion feature, right? They're shipping it on the box. It's literally in the Great Vault. Now, I told you guys going into Alpha that I don't think that Delves were made for me. And I think it's important to understand that right off the bat. I don't think Blizzard was like, you know who's going to love Delves? Crazy high-end WoW players. I think this is directly pointed to the people that play WoW all the time, don't play it at a super high level, and like more solo/small group content that they can do at their own pace. And that is the point of this. And what we learned from the Q&A session is that I think they're going to have some hard content in Delves a little bit later on. But I will give you my first impression, and then I'll give you that information. So me, Dorky, and Dratnos did a couple Delves together on the first day. And it was not very impressive. It was, we were like, this fucking stinks. Now that we got that out of the way, we got some more context. So we asked them in a Q&A session, and it turns out that Delves go from tier 3 all the way to tier 11. Sorry, tier 1 to tier 11. In the leveling content, in which our alpha was capped at level 74 and the first zone, you could only do the first 3 delves, and you were doing them at the max difficulty of tier 2 and or tier 1, right? Tier 1, tier 2 is like super omega, super easy mode, and tier 1 is even easier than that. Okay? That is the only thing we were able to test. There wasn't a lot of affixes in there. Maybe affixes is a buzzword. Hopefully you all didn't just hear that and get mad right away, which we will talk about that in Mythic Plus later. But like, the affixes generally seem like they make sense in these. There has been really good solo content in this game, like Visions and the Withered Army training scenario that like had stuff like that was really good. But either way, we did the questing thing, and how it feels when you're questing is like, you'll just hear, I'll even do it in paint. I don't know why I'm doing this in paint, but we're already here, right? Okay, so you're in a zone, right? You're in a big zone, and you're questing over here, and you're doing a bunch of quests. You have like a big, oh, pick this up over here, pick this up, and kill these guys, and then deposit the sockets in the statues or whatever. And then it's like, okay, there'll be a delve right here. So you're just doing that as a little guy, right? You're just walking around here going crazy. All right, and then you're like, oh, wait, there's a delve right here. Yay! And then you go in the delve, and then you do the delve. And it basically just feels like an extension of... It feels like an extension of questing. And I think that's the exact point. Is that you're already questing in an area, you go do a delve, it's new, it's cool. They're kind of thematic. One of them was like a kobold one where like, why do kobolds have candles on their heads? Well, it's probably so they can see in the dark. It's completely dark, and there are candles that you have to steal from kobolds to be able to see further in the delve. Just like some cool shit like that. It was pretty cool. I like that one. But like, they were super easy, and basically the idea was like, loot these 11 things and then kill all these mobs that just auto-attack you, and then there's like a boss at the end that does almost nothing. But again, this is the beginning of alpha, and whatever, and we've only seen tier 2. Now, they did mention a few other things about the higher difficulties that I want to clarify, and a couple of them that I think are really cool. So when you hit max level, you unlock the ability to do tier 3. All the way up through tier 11. It stops the rewards at tier 8. I think this is significant. If you do above tier 8, in their exact words, the only reason to do them is for, in quotes, bragging rights. One of the problems with Torghast was that everyone had to do Torghast to get the best gear in the game. This is completely different. They made the hardest versions of this mode have nothing to do with rewards, so they could actually make them challenging and potentially fun, right? So it's completely optional to do. So there's 2 extra levels. And then there's another thing. If you do all 12 delves on tier 11, the hardest tier, you unlock the 13th delve, which is just a single boss. And I believe they'll make a new one every season. And I think that boss is going to be like the new Mage Tower. I think there's going to be like... And again, there's no power from it, so they can just make it really cool content. And that 13th delve, which just has the single boss and nothing else, has no reason to not be very challenging and really hard. Those 2 things I just said made the same... They meant the same thing. Sorry. It's early. So that I'm looking forward to. So my impression of them doing tier 2 is like, this just feels like you're doing almost like a bonus objective from WoD while you're leveling, which again, actually enhances the leveling process. But like, our first look at it wasn't this super impressive thing, right? But we are not able to see what max level delves look like, which is the end game thing that's in the vault. So we basically have no opinion on it yet because it's hard to see. But you know how... You didn't need... This is a Diablo 4 reference. I know D4 bad, but... Did you remember when you played Diablo 4 when it came out, and you saw Nightmare Dungeons right away, and you were like, dude, Greater Rifts are just better than this. I don't even need to see this on a high Nightmare Dungeon level. Like, it's just boring objectives that just rotate between each other, and that just seemed like something that wouldn't have good replay value. That's kind of what an early level of Delve feels like. It's like, it won't be too different from each other. But maybe I'm wrong about that, but like, that was the vibe I got. But again, we haven't seen the parts of delves that would interest me. And I want to bring this all back to where I started. It's possible that I think that delves fucking stink. And delves actually stink for me and someone like me. And it still could be extremely good for the game. I could not interact with this content at all, and it could be an excellent addition to the game for the majority of players who don't play the game even kind of like the way that I play it. I'm not the target audience for this. That being said, I imagine I am the target audience for tiers 10 and 11 of the delves, and and at the very least, the 13th delve with the single boss. So I'm really looking forward to trying those. Because the way they have it structured right now with loot stopping well beforehand gives me hope that they can actually make that really cool. Mage Tower taught us that casuals are okay to aspirational difficult content, especially if it's solo with good rewards that makes them get better at their class. I think one of the mischaracterizations of, in quotes, casuals in games is that they just want everything to be easy and handed to them. There are people like that, but there was a lot of people. Mage Tower is universally well liked. And I think that if they do something like that here, this will make delves almost single-handedly a win. It is going to be a win. If even for most people, like if all of delves is for the vast community, and then also the high-end community gets to interact with like the 13th delve in a cool way, I think it'll be a massive dub. So I'm really looking forward to it. But the one that I did while leveling is... Man, maybe I could even show a VOD of it. I think I have a VOD of it. All right, we're inside. This is the beginning of a delve. You just walk in. You need to get an enchanted candle. For everyone who's outside of the candle, you have reduced vision, and you get a stacking max health debuff. Like you're losing your max health. So naturally, I learned this and immediately run away from Dorky and Dratnos, knowing that I am holding the candle, if I remember correctly here. Yep, I'm like, haha. They're like, hey, they're testing it. And then I'm like, yeah, get fucking lost, weirdos. Then I'm out of there. Okay, and then... So this is it. 11 keepsakes recovered. And your candle goes down over time, so you have to, like, get the new candle. And then you have to loot these 11 treasures while making your way through the thing. But, like, most of these mobs don't really do anything. Dratnos actually had a really cool idea, which was that, you know, one thing that Plunderstorm does that's really cool is that all the mobs in Plunderstorm kind of just cast... They cast, like, spells you have to dodge. We wish that, like, every mob in here did that. So, like, pulling a ton of things was actually, like, kind of scary and you had to dodge everything. That could have been kind of cool. Yeah, it does have some speedrun potential, yeah, at higher levels for sure. Again, this is the, like, very early leveling. This is supposed to be a leveling experience right now. We're on, like, level 71 characters. But it's like you just have to stay together and loot some stuff as a group. It also is obviously soloable. Bran is also, like, upgradable. Like, you can give him... You can increase his level. You can give him abilities and stuff. So there is some, like, Withered Army training vibes of you make Bran stronger over time. I will say it doesn't seem as interesting as that. Okay, so you're going through as a group. You're going to kind of see what I'm talking about. Like the leveling version of this is not something... Like, it'd be really surprising if anyone today... Oh, by the way, that was the new monk talent, if you just saw that. When you roll, after you roll, you can double jump, and it, like, dashes you in a direction. Monks have actually unlimited mobility with the new class tree changes. It is insane. This is, again, we're still just in the delve, although we probably aren't doing it super fast, because this was the first one we went into, but we had to loot a few more things. You can loot some of these, like, little treasures and get, like, little Torghasty powers. I think that's going to matter more on the higher levels. They're not, like, class-specific. They, like, are pretty universal. I think you all get the same one, actually. All right, so we're almost near the end of the delve. You could do these much faster, by the way. We just looted our 11th keepsake. And then now we're going to the last thing. I'm pretty sure what I said right now is I'm going to get burned. Let me see if I remember that correctly. Burn me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, fuck me up. That was in comms, too. Let's get it. I just wanted to feel something, chat. Okay, okay, this delve was not making me feel anything. And then you like get to the last boss, and then it gives you a like you just get to kill a little guy at the end. They give you a new candle, all good. And then you kill the last boss, then it's good. And I don't. Oh, this is where we DC'd. But there would be a last boss here, but we alpha server shut down here. Unfortunate timing. So that's what a delve is. Again, if you're leveling and you just come across one of these things, it'll be like a cool experience, and they're all thematic to the zone you're in. So again, I think that's pretty good, but it won't be interesting to me until I can see what they look like at tier 9, 10, and 11, and then the 13th delve, which that's going to be my whole opinion on it. But again, I want to point out, just to end the delve talk for today, it is possible, and maybe likely, based on what it seems like delves are supposed to be, that I could think that delves fucking suck. And I don't know if I'm there yet, because I haven't, I mean, it would be crazy for me to say that because I haven't even seen the higher levels of it. It's possible that I think they suck, but it is a very successful, good feature for the majority of WoW players. So, just want to point that out there. All right. But we'll see what everyone else's opinions are. Okay, so that's it about Warbands. That's it about delves. Let's talk about dungeons. And maybe we'll show you some dungeons. And that'll kind of allude to Mythic Plus. So for Mythic Plus, I think if you're a Mythic Plus fan... Actually, I'll let Mythic Plus fans come to their own conclusion. But we found out that when Season 4 wasn't having any major affix changes, which is when we thought they would experiment for something like this. Okay, before we even look at the dungeon pool, I have some things about Mythic Plus that we found out. So when we found out there wasn't any major affix changes at the end of Season 4, we were like, okay, well, it's just the War Within, right? Because I think a lot of us are looking at affixes as like, okay, they were initially made to like, you know, think about Diablo 4 affixes. Or Diablo 3, sorry. When you go up to an elite pack, they have a different... Okay, you're going to approach a mob with, like, Molten different than one with, like, a Thunder affix, right? Like, it's just little minor changes, and if D3 didn't have elites having affixes, the game would be worse. So then they were like, okay, well, we're making a Greater Rift system in WoW, so it's 8 years ago in Legion. Shout out the fact that Legion was actually 8 years ago, by the way. And then... Let's just do that and see what happens. Okay, they do that. It kind of makes sense at first. People didn't really know what they wanted. And now 8 years has gone by. And the affixes are complained about. And the ones that are liked are the ones that come the closest to not interacting with your character. The affixes people are the most positive about are the ones that basically do the least. And if the purpose of affixes is to challenge your character strategically so you approach things differently, but people prefer that they do nothing, has to put you in a position where you're like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? Does this still make sense? If we were to make affixes right now, brand new, would we make them the same way? The answer cannot be yes. It's just, it doesn't make sense. But they basically clarified that they're not making any major affix changes. They said they're looking to innovate on new affixes, similar to what they did at the end of Season 2. Like adding new ones and rotating ones that people don't like out, which I definitely think is good. It's definitely good to rotate ones out that people hate. That is a positive for sure. But I think people were hoping for just more, I don't know, just like a fresh look at it. Like, it just needs a mix-up. It's been out for a while. Just explained how it doesn't really make sense. And then seasonal affixes are a totally different argument. You know, for every good argument about seasonal affixes, there's the argument of, yeah, when they're bad, they ruin Mythic Plus, and they're bad as often as they are good. So, whatever. So, I wasn't happy about that in general. But by looking at the dungeons so far, like the actual expansion dungeons, which I haven't looked at the first map pool, the two that we've done on the beta or on the alpha were awesome. And I want to show you them. But before that, WoW had apparently posted what the first 8 Mythic Plus dungeons will be. Oh yeah, by the way, and this is something we'll do later in the week when alpha is up, so either tomorrow or Friday. The entire dungeon journal, barring mythic mechanics, is up for the raid. So we'll be going over that as well. I didn't do that already. I'll be doing that just when it comes up. I didn't feel like doing that in a whole video. That's a lot of work. Okay, first look at Delves. Where's the, holy shit, there's so many posts. Here we go. War Within, Mythic Plus Season 1 Dungeon Rotation. Shadowland Dungeons and Siege of Borealis. So I'm okay with the Shadowland Dungeons for sure. I was actually wondering if that was going to be an expansion long enough away to where you would actually bring some of them back. But it depends on which ones you bring back. And Siege of Borealis is just simply not a great dungeon. It's really techy. It's not really memorable or cool. If you're going to bring back a dungeon from BFA, I mean, there are just... I know you've already pillaged through BFA's dungeon set for ones to bring back because they have really good dungeons, but like Motherlode, Heater, actually, wait, what are the really, really good BFA dungeons that they haven't brought back yet? King's Rest? Has there been some revisionist history on King's Rest? Actually, okay, King's Rest has a lot of stuff wrong with it, but I feel like it actually... I'll play the devil's advocate of King's Rest wasn't actually that bad. If you could skip some of the RP in that second room after the first boss, where like you do the 4 corners, and if Shadow of Zool wasn't complete bullshit, I think King's Rest theme would carry it enough to make up for the dungeon's length and difficulty. That's the devil's advocate argument. It also has good loot. But anyways, that's a lot of ifs. Yeah, you're not wrong. Here's the War Within Season 1 dungeon rotation. Arakara, City of Echoes. Haven't seen or even read anything about that. City of Threads, same. Stone Vault, same. Dawnbreaker, same. Oh, wait, so the 2 dungeons we have available to us right now on Alpha, I don't believe any of them are available in Season 1. But both of the ones I tried on Alpha I thought were really good. So, for different reasons as well. Okay, so we have Mist of Tyrna Scythe. So I know high key pushers didn't really like the first boss, and maybe people didn't like the memory game. But I think with just a few changes, Mist becomes one of the best bosses. So I think a few things need to change with Mist, or one of the best dungeons. First of all, full disclosure, Mist was my favorite Shadowlands dungeon. Every time I zoned into Mist, I was a happy boy. Okay? Couple things they need to do. Getting guaranteed feared on the first boss feels really bad. Fix that immediately. And the memory game puzzle going through, I think you should be able to do the memory game early and open the doors in combat if you so wish to do that. I think that would allow for group pulls and not weird pulling things through walls. And you don't have to do that, but I think that would just make the dungeon a bit more interesting if you were able to do that. And other than that, I think the dungeon just hard owns. Really like this dungeon. They made the last boss a lot better. My opinion, though. The Necrotic Wake. The Necrotic Wake is interesting. Most dungeons that have items do all of the damage to things are usually, like, make you feel like you're not playing your character. But Necrotic Wake somehow escaped that feeling, even though the items were really powerful. It also required you to be Kyrian for some stuff in the beginning. I wonder how they're going to approach that now. Maybe some profession shit. Siege of Borealis stinks. I don't really need to give any more context there. Grim Batol was actually a really, really well-liked dungeon, but I wonder if they're still going to keep the beginning in it. I actually think Grim Batol will be good. I think Grim Batol will be good. It was one of the best Kata dungeons, but like the beginning of it is just an RP thing, and I don't know if that would exist that way. I think they're gonna tune that trash for you to actually pull it. Maybe you can like pick a pack to get rid of, which would be kind of interesting for mob count, but like in a quick way. Either way, I'm excited to test that. Excited for Mist of Tyrna Scythe. Kind of excited for Necrotic Wake. Kind of excited for Grim Batol. Mainly because, too, bringing back dungeons from the past has had very varied results. Like, for example, some of the boss changes they made, like to Wise Mari in the Temple of the Jade Serpent, made that boss significantly better. But then the changes they made to Trash and the last boss made the dungeon worse. When they brought back a Kata dungeon, they've brought back 2 so far. Vortex Pinnacle and Throne of the Tides. Vortex Pinnacle was a really, really bad thing to bring back, and it didn't turn out well at all. Throne of the Tides ended up being one of the harder dungeons of the season, but they actually made a lot of really good changes in Throne. And I think overall is, like, Throne proved to me that they could bring back ancient content and actually do it well. So I definitely interested to see how more Cataclysm dungeons work out. But Siege stinks bad. And I know nothing about these 4 dungeons. I think. I don't know the name of the second dungeon we were doing, but I'm pretty sure it's not any of these 4. But the dungeon that earlier I made a very probably hyperbolic statement saying that I think this is going to be one of the best dungeons of all time is not in the Season 1 dungeon rotation, which I think is kind of a mistake. Like, if you have a dungeon that's this good, and I'll show you it, bro, the most people, we've looked at subscriber numbers, like the most people are playing WoW at the beginning of expansions. Load up that season. That season should be better than other seasons. Like, it's only logical. More people interact with it. If you want to keep more players, wouldn't you try your hardest to make sure that that time is awesome? Like, I don't know. Atlas will love the 3rd boss of Grim Batol because it says minions. Yeah, Atlas loves minions. Shall I show you guys some dungeons? So this is me playing Windwalker in Cinderbrew Meadery, which is my my favorite place. I'm playing with Touchpad Warrior. We're playing with Rage Shots, Logan, and Doomer is Towley. So this is Towley. Towley makes a sick Blood DK play in this dungeon, by the way. Oh, yeah, y'all watching that movement? Just absolutely fucking moving around? Wait, did I do the roll things beforehand? Let's see. Dude, did I really just start my recording and just start zooming out? Just pressing buttons. I think this is what Demon Hunter did to me. Whenever I played Demon Hunter this season. Oh yeah, look at the little dashes. Oh my god, the roll dash is so sick. Okay, so what build am I playing? Oh, I think I changed my build halfway through the dungeon because I wanted Inner Peace for resource management. One bug with Windwalker on the alpha, which like kind of affected how the class felt, is this talent right here makes you no longer press Expel Harm. You press it passively every 15 seconds when you press Tiger Palm. But it is supposed to happen after the Tiger Palm. So like you can press Tiger Palm twice in a row, right? Because it won't reset your mastery. Like you'll Tiger Palm, it casts Expel Harm, and then you can Tiger Palm again. So you can actually press it twice in a row. Because usually that's something that this was really, really good for. But it just wasn't ever casting Expel Harm currently. So my energy economy will look different because of that. But yeah, so this is, we'll go over Monk gameplay more later. I just kind of want to show you the dungeon. I'm just going to like scroll through it a bit. We'll see when we start here. All right. So we pull a shitload of mobs. I'm hard owning. Actually, let's just start from the beginning here. Looks like we're about to pull. Wait, Tiger Palm doesn't reset mastery. You misunderstood what I said. And then here we blast. Okay, we just pulled a bunch of mobs, right? The thing is these mobs don't do a lot. Like, even though we're pulling a ton and it's like a normal dungeon or whatever, this room is full of mobs you have to pull. High mob count, very low mechanic intensity, which is, I think, a recipe for success. Mythic Plus dungeon pulls, very big. Yes. Mobs that don't require a bunch of micro CCs and stops to be able to pull, we like that. These mobs are basically doing a tank buster, and there's like one guy that has to have a stop. And then it's just Chef Chewy here. Okay. Okay, so that's the first pull. I'll probably just skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so we're finishing the rest of this. Oh, this is on the boss. Let me back it up. Okay, we'll finish this pack here. Is there a way to skip? Oh, yeah, I can go like 5 seconds at a time. It pixels the video when I skip for some reason. Okay, so we're pulling the first boss. Oh, also one more change to... no, we'll go over Windwalker changes later, but the statue still exists, but it casts passively when you press your tiger rather than having to press an extra ability, which is a great change. Recount? Yeah, I'm blasting. We're blasting hard. Move chat, big dog. Chat's fine, I guess. I don't know. 30-second Strike of the Windlord. Yeah, there's a talent that makes it do 20% more damage and have 10-second less CD. And there's also another talent that makes you all of your damage for the next 10 seconds happen twice, but at 10% value. So it turns it into like a damage window. Look at that. Look at me. Look at me delivering. And then this boss has a I think it's a timer-based phase, but you can finish it instantly. Like basically how it works is the boss goes behind and he's like a brew guy, right? So he's gonna start he's a bartender, so you need to go take this beer to the customers, and there's people back there just drinking beer. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but like you can like kind of optimize your movement. So I ended up doing 2 here. He goes behind, he takes less damage until this is over. You know, I don't think you like take a ton of damage while this is happening. I don't know the mythic mechanic here. And then you have to take this brew and then you you throw it to a guy. So I threw it to him, and then I realized that no one else was doing it. So naturally, as a monk does, I saved the fucking group. I grabbed this beer. Feeling great, by the way. Hit a little Transcendi here. Give the brew, and then you stop the phase and you go again. So very thematic. I don't know how that's going to actually feel in Mythic Plus. I don't think... We didn't do it long enough to know if it was timer-based or percent-based. I think you only do it once, and it's when he's at 50%. Every time that I've done this, he casts it under 50% and has only cast it once, but we also killed him really fast, so I'm not sure. It's energy bar? Okay, so it might be timer-based then. Okay. I'm playing Shadowpan Monk here as well. I'll skip ahead a little bit. Now we're going to the right side. Now, you don't have to go this way. You can go to the other side. So you're seeing we have a bunch of bees here. And I want to point out we're pulling a brand ambassador. And he casts... Let's see what he casts here. Oh, I'm changing talents, so I'm a little bit late to the pull. I think I added more energy gen. All right, so that brand ambassador, I didn't see his cast. God, default nameplates are so bad. Shredding Sting is just a tank mechanic. Free Swag is just a tank mechanic, I think, or like some kind of like thing he just throws out. Final Sting needs to be stopped. They cast this under 20%. It like hits you really hard if it goes off. So that just requires some stops, but it's only when they're about to die. Which mobs like that usually aren't a huge issue. Here's another brand ambassador. So this guy casts Career Stagnation. My thought, and this could be tinfoil as fuck. I didn't know that stunned me. This could be tinfoil. I think there's a few references in this dungeon that Blizzard employees are kind of poking fun at the layoffs. So a brand ambassador maybe talked to some people who were laid off, and they were like, yeah, we feel like your career is stagnating, or like, here, you know, have some free swag on your way out the door for spending your time here at Blizzard. And then there's some stuff later with Yes Men, and there's a CEO mob that has something called a cash cannon. I could be completely off base here, but I could see when designing this, some of the dungeon people were like, yeah, remember when our friend got told that his career was stagnating or something? And then they just like made some mobs like that. Anyways, that's my tinfoil hat, and I'm wearing it. Okay, I got stunned and destroyed. Did I die from that? Let's see. Okay, then there's just a bunch of worker bees that shoot honey. Oh, that guy back here, this guy who's casting, he cast Bee Steel Wrath. This guy, the Bee Wrangler, he cast Bee Steel Wrath. This guy is casting Beezooka. By the way, if you guys have ever seen the movie, the Bee Movie with Barry B. Benson, there is a version you can watch where it speeds up by double every single time they say the word bee, and it's like 3 minutes long. It's one of the it's a very popular way to consume that film. Yeah, he shoots a fucking bee at you. Yeah. And again, this is another place where like the mobs don't do a lot, and you can kind of pull really big, and you can choose which boss you want to go to. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because you guys have seen these mobs. Oh yeah, when you go through this door, you just get just randomly 1 million bees spawn. And they're like, get the fuck out of our hive, motherfucker. And you have to kill them. It's hype. All right. Okay, and then we get more Bee Wranglers casting Beezooka and Bestial Wrath. And then we get another Brand Ambassador, which casts Free Swag and Career Stagnation. Okay, and then I think we die here because we pull too much. Oh, made that up. All right, and then we go to the boss called Bank Busby. How this boss works. Okay, we kill a few mobs beforehand. I'll skip ahead. Is he spawns 3 bees, and when the bees die, the bees become, like, not mountable, but I think they are mountable, actually. And then you have to destroy these barrels. Those barrels do something to you. I think they maybe spawn new bees, but it's whatever. Anyways, we're just going to be AoEing here. And once the bees die, you'll see, I think you'll see me get on one, and then, and you can shoot the bee, and they, like, fly. And so you can see me clicking on the boss here. I'm trying to get it. You see how I just clicked on it? So now I'm on a bee, and now I have this button, and you can aim the bee, and then you shoot the bee. I press 1, and now the bee just flies and blows up the barrels. And getting rid of the barrels is good for some reason. I don't know why. Let's see, actually. Maybe this barrel will expire here, and we'll see why. Nope, I still don't know. And then ads just keep spawning. So this is like a 2 to 3 target on top of boss ad cleave, while focusing single target damage, a little bit of a knockback. I'm not sure of the mythic mechanic here. Yep, and then Bank Busby dies. Love that. Love a little cleave fight. Going forward, again, we're going back through the middle and going to the other side. You can choose which side you want to go to first. And this side is like a beer wing. So we have a flavor scientist, which I'm sure is what someone who works behind a bar could call themselves. This guy, Reckless Delivery, he charges a random member. You kind of want to aim that at walls. This guy gives out free samples. If that, I think that's just passive AoE damage. Oh, I think our group turbo wipes here, if I remember. We look like we're going down fast at the moment. I'm going to skip ahead. Do we? Oh, no, we don't perish just yet. Tally's a beast. Rejuvenating Honey. Oh, yeah, so I'm trying to... Oh, I go out and die with that. That's sick. Yeah, our whole group dies. Nice. All right, so we're going to go back. You can't really tell because default nameplates are bad, but those things throw some, like, totem you have to kill. You can stop the cast, or if it goes off, you have to kill the totem thing that they spawn. It's not an actual totem, but it's just, like... I think you actually see one here. Let me see if I can remember what it is. It's not free. It's failed batch. So if failed batch goes off, it'll throw the failed batch over there, and if that blows up, you die. It's called exploding brew. But, like, you don't see it until you target it because default nameplates stink real bad. Okay, we'll go through here. More of the same mobs. Again, pretty decently sized pulls. The pulls are much smaller in the other dungeon, just in general. They're more spread out. Let me skip ahead again. Okay, so now we're doing a boss. Well, he's not up yet. We have to kill some more mobs in here, some more flavor scientists in the beer wing. The boss is called IPA. I quotation PA. I think it's a bit on like an IPA, which is a beer that everyone with a mustache and a beer would like to tell you their favorite IPA recommendation. Like me. And that's him right there. He's just like an actual beer. He's like a beer globule. And how the boss works is it spawns some ads that tries to go into the boss. And if they go into the boss, they give the boss an absorb shield. So you have to like cleave down. This is a good cleave dungeon. You have to cleave these down while getting efficient boss damage. And he just does a few other mechanics. This instance is sick. Bro, it gets better. It actually gets better. Oh, I swapped to Conduit of the Celestials here. You'll watch me do that. Big damn. Conduit felt much better on the PTR than reading it. Okay. Okay, so what Tally does here, and you can't tell that mobs actually spawned because default nameplates are horrible. As you can see, there's like a brew drop here, a brew drop there. Tally sees a bunch of brew drops. So naturally, as a Blood Decay, he just presses Mass Grip. And the boss gets an absorb for easily twice its HP bar. And we sit here and fight it for the next minute or so, trying to get its absorb down. Now we know how the boss works, and we're like, all right, let's kill these now. So we finish IPA. Cleave them down with some mobs for efficient count. You know what it is. Okay. And then we go back to the beginning. I change back to Shadowpan because I've had enough of that nonsense. And then we go to the last boss, which you take these little bees. You take the bee line. There is a bee line you take to the last boss area, which is just up here. Now this is the B. This room is called the BEO Suite, where you fight. I forget the name of the boss, but they are the CEO of bees, the BEO. And before you kill the boss, you have to kill her yes men that surround her. They are literally called yes men. Which again, guys, I think this is a play on the layoffs. It's my tinfoil. Okay. Now, they cast something that's... Oh, yeah. They cast Downward Trend. I fucking love this dungeon. This has been the most positive I've ever felt of a dungeon after doing it like one time. Now, this boss is actually really cool, too. So, I think this boss is going to be crazy on High Mythic Plus. So, I'll explain how it works. So, what's the name of the boss again? Let me try to remember. Someone wanted their breakdown. It was actually nice that recount worked, so you could actually see what hero talents were like doing their what hero talents were doing all your damage. Here we go. So the boss casts Cash Cannon, which is a frontal on the tank. Or it's a frontal on a person, and you have to aim it to blow up these barrels. When you blow up the barrels, it does Rashok waves that you have to dodge. On Mythic, I believe the Mythic mechanic is when the barrels explode, it does raid damage, so you have to control how many you blow up at a time. They're much slower than Rashok waves as well. And then you need to get rid of them little by little, or you can get rid of them all at once if you want. You could have none of these actually break them. You could have Cash Cannon never break them, and then what the boss does is it does like a little phase after those two mechanics. Not doing too well with the waves here, although they were not dangerous. One more Burning Ricochet. I think we got rid of most of them, so you're not going to see it, but the boss casts one more Cash Cannon, and then she's going to jump to the middle and cast Let It Hail. And when Let It Hail goes off, she will blow up any remaining barrels in the room, which will create a bunch of Rashok waves at the same time, and on Mythic, they will also do damage to you. So you're kind of encouraged to either break none of them and then use heavy immunities or defensives all at once, or you can get rid of them little by little, deal with the damage, spread out some healer CDs, and deal with them. It's really, really, really cool. I think this boss is a really nice dungeon boss. So, Flight Stones. They didn't mention anything about the upgrade system yet. I imagine this is just a relic of it already existing, but I do want to point out that Flight Stones make no sense and should not exist in this game. The fact that Flight Stones, like, you could remove Flight Stones from the game and remove their requirement for upgrades, and the game is instantly better. So, I hope they've gotten that feedback. Anyways, that was this dungeon. So, you guys can feel the way you want to feel about it. I think this dungeon fucking rocks. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so here's the next dungeon, which I think we swapped some characters. Towley went to Templar Prop Paladin. I think we were waiting for a few people. Let me wait until it starts here. Oh, this is already on the first boss. Yay. Okay, so this is just the first pull. Like, you can do a pretty big pull down here, and then you have to start this pull. This allows you to, like, actually go over to the actual place. So you kill those mobs, great, and then you can take a bird over here. So the respawn point is always at the entrance, so you always have to take this bird. But note that, like, as you progress through the dungeon, there are 3 different levels. There's this level, and there's the bottom. I'll actually back it up 5 seconds. And there's the bottom level. The bird will always take you to the level you're supposed to be on, so the run back times are not actually that long. However, I wish you did spawn here instead of having to take the bird. This is only a 3-boss dungeon. It is linear. You have to kill these mobs. I'm not gonna bore you on what the mobs do, but you just kill some mobs here, and then you fight the boss. The boss, again, terrible melee fight. You have no uptime. It's extremely hype. Love that. Oh, dude, this monk feels so good, dude. Look at that. Just look at. I just want to show you. Just we're gonna talk about monk later. I just want you to watch the beginning of this fight. This is with no tiger. And I didn't even start with max chi either. And my expel harm thing wasn't working, so my energy economy was off. But like I told you guys that Storm Earth and Fire has like a mini Serenity in it now. So when you press it, you get 2 chi. So I press Tiger Palm, and then I press Storm Earth and Fire, going up to 4 chi. And then I press Rising Sun Kick, which is now going to make everything in my kit cost 1 less chi during my Storm Earth and Fire. Okay. So we're just not gonna play then. We're just gonna, right? Let's just not even play. All right, Storm Earth and Fire. We Rising Sun Kick. Now whirling, or what is this? Fist of Fury is only 2 chi. Strike of the Windlord's only 1. Another Tiger Palm. Quick little this. Now look at my Teachings of the Monastery stacks. We Whirling Dragon Punch to get 4 more, going up to 6. Get the free Whirling Dragon Punch. Pop that. We got unlucky. You have a 15% chance per Teachings of the Monastery to have it refunded. So sometimes you get 3 to 4 back instantly. Blackout Kick is one of your top damage in dungeons. It fucking blasts. Anyways, this boss stinks though. So going back to the boss, this boss real stinks. Really not good. It goes to the middle and range can hit it and melee can't. Need to figure out some way for them to fix that. Probably he jumps here and then he does the beam so you can still get uptime. And then there's another mechanic. I'm not sure if I got it or not, but you can jump. If you get it, you like jump into the middle so it doesn't do damage to other people. I think it's unstable charge. So unstable charge goes on this person. What they should do is jump into the middle with it, but I don't think they knew the mechanic, so they stayed up and it hit everybody. But it's normal, so it doesn't do any damage. And the boss goes for one more thing. I try to touch a death at whatever. All right, then you jump down. Here we go, boys. Get some Blackrock Foundry falling vibes. Except you have a feather that you can use. I didn't have my extra action button bound yet. Like you could use it to instantly jump to certain things. I think there's some achievement for landing on these things, or maybe some like buff you get. I'm not quite sure. Then you just do a bunch of trash. Bunch of trash. Then I want to show you the next boss. When was the last 3 boss dungeon? Was it Ruby Life Pools? There are 2 mobs in here that would be a huge problem on a scaling key right now. They put up a shield, and when they have their shield up, they do pulsing damage, and you have to pull 2 of them at once. Restart VLC. Maybe later. Here's the second boss. This boss is actually really cool. I think, at least. Crush Reality. Jumps on the farthest person. Oh, that's actually made up. It jumped on someone close. My entire impression of that mechanic was wrong. It's going to do a suck. He's dying real fast, though. Lil Stink is giving this boss the heat. It does a little suck you have to deal with. I stay in, though. I think it only does big damage at the end, so you can stay in and get melee uptime if you want. Crush Reality jumps on the farthest person, which is what we were testing there, so we made it jump far. This debuff just jumps to a few players. I think it does damage to people around you, so you have to spread, and it will jump 4 times before disappearing, so a little bit of damage to heal and some spreading. Pretty easy to deal with, even with multiple melee. Then that's it. I think it's a good fight. Pretty basic dungeon fight, but we like it. And then here's where I felt like Blackrock Foundry. Tell me you don't get Blackrock Foundry vibes right here. Yes, sir. I felt it. You just procced a memory. Yep. Okay, these are the mobs. These radiating void stones are insane. They cast Embrace the Void, they get a shield on them, and they pulse AoE damage. Look at our health. This is in a normal. Like, it's not doing a lot, but this is a normal dungeon, and we broke the shield in like 2 seconds. You also pull 2 of these at once right here. This is something where, like, these are avoid these mobs at all costs scenario in Mythic Plus, in my opinion. I think they cast it... Oh, no, they cast it at the exact same time. So you have to break both of their shields, and you're just getting destroyed. Would be fun to heal, though. Then you kill a few more mobs, and then you have... Okay, the last boss I'm not a huge fan of. I couldn't even really tell what was happening here. Like, the last boss, you... It's kind of like the other side, but not really. Like, he goes through phases. Like, the boss has a shield, and when you break the shield, this bird flies down and does damage to his health. So there's almost, like, damage phases. Oh, yeah, Towley fell off here. So he ended up just pulling it... He ended up just pulling it from down in the water. Because we didn't want to wait for him to run around. So I think we eventually all end up in the water here, except for me. So Tally just gives up because he doesn't want to go all the way around and is like, fuck it. He just pulls the boss from the water. But the boss has a shield. And when you break his shield, some bird comes down and just like destroys the boss. He spawns 3 ads on some people that you have to kill. I think it's... Oh, I think he spawns them on Tally here because he's in the water though. These things do a thing on the ground. Dude, by the way, look how ethical... Oh, guys. Guys, come on. Look how ethical that was. Holy moly. Because it puts a pool down forever, which definitely would have mattered here as we killed this boss instantly. Okay, so like you do some damage to his health, but I don't know if it matters because look at this bird. This bird just does like 30% of his health here. And you do that every time you break a shield. My thought is, I think the reason they did this, and they have another boss that shields... Maybe they're trying to put an emphasis on abilities that do damage to shields. Like, warriors have that one ability. Evokers have Unravel, right? Maybe that's the thought behind it. Shadow Priest just got one. Oh, interesting. So that seems to be more of a focus. Anyways, that's the whole boss, and that's the rest of the dungeon. Woohoo! Yay! All right. We like that. Those are the 2 dungeons we tried. Fuck yeah. And the new Mythic Dungeon rotation seems not great because neither of these dungeons are involved in it, and both of them look pretty good. But hopefully these 4 are good. I haven't seen or read anything about them. My opinion, Mist of Tyrna Scythe, great dungeon. I suggested a couple changes. You should not get automatically feared on the first boss. And you should be able to open up the maze anytime you want and not only out of combat, so you can go through it fast and double pull if you want. Necrotic Wake, I'm generally okay with. Siege of Borealis stinks. Grim Batol is one of the better Cataclysm dungeons. I'm interested to see if they keep the RP event at the beginning. At least in Mythic Plus. Someone told me Towley's interview, they brought that up, so we'll be listening to that later. We have some more stuff to get into. Perfect. Okay, here we go, guys. Here's what they did to Monk. Let's start with the class tree. Usually if you zoom it in far enough, you can go. That looks ridiculous, doesn't it? We'll just go here, I guess. Okay, so let's talk class tree. All right, so no longer... Actually, let's pull up and compare almost. This will be an even better way to do this. All right, on the left is old, on the right is new. Before, to get a second roll charge, you had to take Soothing Mist. It was like that for a whole expansion. Makes no sense. To get Fortifying Brew, you needed to get either an improved paralysis or disable, 2 things you might never want. Fortifying Brew was a 6-minute cooldown that required, you know, a level under it to just make it even 4 minutes. 2 Touch of Death nodes, and the bottom being all capstones of totems that sometimes even your own spec didn't want your own totem. Brewmaster was situational. Neither other spec besides Mistweaver wanted the statue. And move chat for this. Yeah, I can turn chat off for this. Remind me to turn it back on after. And then you have, you know, the Windwalker one, which is like the least inspired fun thing ever. Like, it's just zero coolness about this. And it was just a weird global. And sometimes I wouldn't even spec this just because I didn't want to press it because it was so insignificant and annoying to do in your rotation. They also had 2 mandatory raid buffs in your thing, which was kind of annoying because you felt like you had to choose these things, but you did end up losing these. You still have a raid buff that will be wanted, the physical buff one. But, like, monks lost a ton of raid... Like monks were probably the best raid buff in the game. Like, if you combined the fact that they gave everyone in your raid 4% increased healing taken and 4% avoidance and 5% physical damage, that's all combined probably better than Mark of the Wild. So that's like super, super. Oh, yeah, it's 8%. Yeah, it goes up twice. I forgot. That's like just super crazy. These are now gone and become personal things. Transcendence is here with only one escape from reality thing, kind of making it cool. And then just stuff was just kind of jumbled everywhere, and it didn't make a ton of sense. All right, let's look at the new one. Let's approach this from a Windwalker's perspective, okay? And I'll show you how many cool things you have to choose from at the end. All right, so we're grabbing Tiger's Lust every time. GG, right? This thing makes Rising Sun Kick deal 70% increased damage. Sign me up, right? We have all damage taken reduced by 3%. Say less. All healing taken increased by 4. Who knows? Maybe we'll come back to it later. Kick, you need in almost all content. Now, Paralysis is a single target enraged dispel. Doesn't quite end up being as good as like Evokers having an AoE dispel, but now Windwalkers, besides just using their Paralysis to CC something, can use it to dispel and enrage, which is a great, great Mythic Plus tech for sure. You all know that not only do you need enrage dispels, but having another one in your group means that like if you miss it or something goes wrong, having an extra one can mean the difference in wiping or not. Dispel, not sure. This one gives you a cooldown reduction on Paralysis and Leg Sweep with 1 point. For now, we need a couple more points to even unlock the next level. So let's just spend 2 here, and then let's think of some things we might want. Roll and Chi Torpedo, travel small distance. Sounds good. And then we have a choice between increase all healing taken by 4% or out of combat movement speed by 15. Maybe we'll want the healing taken later, but let's just take this to open up more pathways. We can also get this to grab the Instant Vivify, which isn't awful for Windwalker. All right, so now to get Ring of Peace, you need to get Transcendence. Transcendence is an awesome ability. Let's go ahead and grab that. Let's go ahead and grab Ring of Peace. Needed in almost all content. You could not grab it for raid, but that's perfectly fine. It's not required for anything else that seems super necessary. We have Fortifying Brew, which is now... this is wrong, by the way. This says a 6-minute cooldown. That is incorrect. Fortifying Brew is a 2-minute cooldown now. And the node under it makes it a 1.5-minute cooldown or a 2-minute cooldown that is a 30% health and 30% DR thing. This is incorrect data mining. This is a 2-minute baseline cooldown now. For Brew, it is still 6 minutes, and you have the Brew reduction built into your kit. But for Windwalker and Mistweaver, this is a 2-minute baseline spell. Or a 1.5-minute, depending on which thing you take here. So let's do that. We have Diffuse Magic. I'm going to take that almost every time. I do want to point out a few changes here. So as you'll notice, Dampen Harm is gone. Now, if you're any class right now that has a ton of defenses in the game, you're probably not a fan of you losing defenses. But if you've been paying attention to this channel for a while, you'll understand that there are classes in this game that have too many defensive buttons. And if you're going to talk about pruning in this game, the first thing you would start is with defensives. How they start at the beginning of this expansion, they looked at like how many defensives mages had and monks had, and they were like, you know what, hunters, you need more. Other classes, you need more. Rets, you need more. The reality is what they should have done, what they should do now, is bring every class as close to like shamans as you can. You get Astral Shift, you get like a nice personal. You get Earth Ellie, maybe like a little extra thing. And then maybe like the thing where when you hit 35%, it like heals you a little bit. And that's it. Every class should be something like that. Maybe some classes are like minorly stronger, but reducing the amount of buttons is important. No class individually wants to see their defensives removed. But what I hope to see from the game is that the classes that have a ton of defensives, you can lose one and it would never matter. Monks losing Dampen, you'll still never die. It is ridiculous for you to die as a monk with 2-minute fortifying, 30% fortifying brew, or 1.5-minute regular fortifying brew with diffuse magic, with touch of karma. You're not going to die. And the only reason you would feel bad is because other classes have way more, and I think all of those classes should have their defensives pruned too. So I think this is a step in the right direction by removing Dampen, but I'm going to kind of move off of that. All right, so we're Windwalkers, right? So let's grab some stuff we think we're going to want. You're going to want Resonant Fist. Does damage, right? Love doing damage. You have Celerity. I like Celerity over Chi Torpedo. Up to you, though. You can get Improved Touch of Death. Okay, Touch of Death will do more damage. And then this thing is just a dodge chance thing. I don't really care about that. Doesn't improve any pathing we need. And I think we need to spend a couple more points to go on. How many? How many do you need to unlock the last level? Is it 20 points spent? So now we have 5 points to spend before we can even enter the capstone level. You have so much choice. Maybe you want to grab Chi Burst. I have news about Chi Burst. Chi Burst no longer grants Chi. I read this and I used it and I was like, that's weird. That doesn't really see. And also Chi Wave is now cast automatically. Again, a reducing button bloat situation. Chi Wave is now cast, and I was finding myself playing Chi Wave rather than having a million buttons, which Monk, if there's a class that wants to reduce buttons, Monk is like one of them for sure. Chi Burst not giving you Chi is on purpose. So I'm going to go over something they did in the spec tree later, but they basically made haste matter a lot more, not only for Fists of Fury scaling, which is your top damage so far in playing Monk, but haste actually makes your rotation feel better for the first time ever. If you guys played a Dragonflight Monk, you could have 0 haste and your rotation feels perfect with 0 downtime. That's a problem. That means that, you know, haste doesn't matter for you. What happens then? You need maintenance buffs the entire expansion because one of your stats does literally nothing, right? They not only made haste actually scale your damage, which is super important for them to do, but I noticed haste and talents that reduce energy on Tiger Palm and give you more energy or somehow give you resources. Those things felt much better. That's important because having haste make your rotation feel good makes haste a good stat. When haste is a good stat, your class is going to be tuned regardless. It just means that you have an extra stat that can actually benefit you, which is huge news for Windwalker. But I just going to jump ahead to that just to point that out. But that's why Chi Burst being gone doesn't feel bad, because they had to reduce your Chi economy to make haste make sense. Playing it feels great. Okay. Duration of snare effects reduced for PvEers. We don't care about that, right? Expel harm's crit healing is increased and critical strike chance, kind of whatever. We have points to spend, right? You guys want increased healing taken. You want that instant vivify. And then we're going to talk about something that I intentionally stopped over at the top. Okay? So now you have 2 options here. You can get Disable, or you can get Crashing Momentum. Brand new spell. Targets you roll through are snared by 40% for 5 seconds. Note under that. The duration of this is increased to 8 seconds, and its snare now reduces movement speed by an additional 20, making this 60. So you are now one of the very few classes in the game with a controllable slow that is above 50%. In a dungeon scenario, that's insane. In a PvP scenario, I think this is going to get nerfed. I'll explain why. Can you guys imagine kiting a monk? If you roll through your enemy, you slow them by 60%. When you roll, you remove a snare effect from yourself. When you have your Tiger out, you cannot be slowed below 90% movement speed. If you want, when you roll, it will lunge to the nearest enemy in front of you within 10 yards. And also when you roll, you could double jump to get a gust of wind and dash forward in the air, and it's like half of a fell rush. Windwalker monks are going to fucking destroy people in PvP. So I think something with that might get changed because of PvP, unfortunately, but I guess we'll wait and see. Yeah. So let's continue with some of the changes. So let's take that, because that sounds good. And basically all content, besides maybe raid fights that don't need it. And we have a ton more points we could have spent. But again, you just have an infinite amount of choice here. I think why I think this is one of the best class trees in the entire game is this class now has... you get everything you want really easily, and the stuff that you didn't have before got baked into your class. And then you just have like almost 8 points at the end of this to just get whatever the fuck you want. And all the things that you want are really cool new shit that they added. It's like the opposite thing that Druid got. Druid got a new class tree, but Dorky was like, dude, you spend this entire class tree just picking up everything you had before, and there is cool new things, but you can't access them. They made cool new things for Windwalker and Monks, but you just have 8 points to pick all of them you want, which is fucking nuts. Okay, so let's start with the capstone level. So, now, Summon White Tiger statue still exists. You don't have to take it, depending on how much damage it does, but now it just happens passively when you use your Tiger. So, let's grab that. Damage is good, right? Right here, you can make your Fortifying Brew a 1.5 minute cooldown. I'm thinking you're going to do that most of the time. Generally speaking, something that it's pretty rare that a cooldown that gives you 30% extra health and damage would have made you live, where 20% extra health and damage reduction wouldn't. So you just take the uptime almost all the time, in my opinion, but kind of fight dependent. So we'll take that. Then this one increased your physical damage done by 2% per point. In my opinion, that's required. At the bottom, Touch of Death increases your damage by 5% for 30 seconds after being cast, and its cooldown is reduced by 90. Okay, so like using Touch of Death to benefit your other spells. We like that. There's fights where this will do nothing and you won't take it though. We have 6 more points to spend. This one here, Expel Harm's healing is increased by that. You could take that. Better self-healing, right? So we can just do... Let's just go ahead and grab that. This one, you could argue whether this node is mandatory. You don't do a ton of magical damage, but it does increase magical damage done by 2% per. And this is actually my least favorite part of the tree, that it feels like 4 of these points are kind of locked in the capstone. But you still have 3 points after all of this to grab stuff you want. I'll explain what those things are. Now, as if you needed any more movement, you could grab the thing where roll makes you lighter. And you can do the double jump thing. There's a new Transcendence thing. Let's say we grab Bounce Back, because Bounce Back is nice, right? Just a quick little 1-pointer. Transcendence Linked Spirits. Transcendence now requires you to target an ally to cast it, but when you do, it will stay on them for an hour, and it'll be just like an augmentation stone. Every time you press Transcendence, you will go directly to where that player is, rather than having to put it in a spot. That is extremely valuable. This will probably, over the course of this expansion, makes monks really, really good for a fight purely because this exists. Super cool addition to this. Okay, so let's just talent that because we like doing that. Let's take the movement speed here and then we're done. If you wanted to remove this, which you won't need all the time, you could grab Rolling removes a snare effect. You guys remember Jaina, duration of snare effects? You guys remember when the troll racial made that dot fall off of you? You're going to be one of the few classes in the game that's going to have a default snare effect reduction. You could grab increase the range of leg sweep by 4 yards. Big old fat leg sweep, big range. You could grab reduction on Ring of Peace or Song of Chi-Ji. You could grab Dispel. And the only thing you're losing are very minor things. Like right here, bro, we have fucking Vivify instant taken. Like that doesn't matter. We could grab the Paralysis and Rage thing. We can grab Dispel. You don't need like 5 or 6 of these points. You're just speccing them because why not, you know? So it feels like you have a lot of choice. And with the choice, you aren't picking stuff that doesn't matter. You are picking things that, you know, actively are cool new things that feel impactful. So I just could not be more impressed with this tree, especially with how bad the old one is. I ended up not really going down the old one here. I explained kind of why it was bad. But like you can even just see, why would you have to pick kick to select celerity or chi torpedo? The only thing that matters when you kick chick now, or click kick now, is you can now have, when you're kicking on a fight, it's going to reduce the cooldown of your roll every time you do it. Might not matter, but sometimes it's great. Probably good in PvP. More keybinds, woo. There's significantly less keybinds on Monk in this expansion. It's the opposite of that. All right, let's talk about the spec tree. We'll go over the hero talents later. I did play with both of these, but just feeling like talking about Monk right now. All right, so let's build this for single target, and then let's do AoE. So you take Fist of Fury every time, and then this one is required because you need Combat Wisdom to get Flying Serpent Kick, and you need Flying Serpent Kick to get Storm Earth and Fire. So these are kind of like locked in for you. Most trees have things like that. Not to mention you would want both of these things. Here's one. So Expel Harm is no longer a button. It casts automatically every 15 seconds. And it does reset your mastery. So the Expel Harm happens after the Tiger Palm. So one thing that I felt like would be bad is maybe you would feel like you were resetting your mastery by Tiger Palming twice for your new Chi economy. But like you would Tiger Palm with this proc, and then you could Tiger Palm instantly after, and it wouldn't reset your mastery. Because it's casting Expel Harm in between. You're just not actually casting it. Really sick. And then these two, in my opinion, are required for AoE and single target builds. This one solves multiple problems. Fist of Fury's damage is increased by 100% of your haste, and Fist of Fury does 10% more damage each time it deals damage, resetting when Fist of Fury ends. Your auto attack speed is increased by 60% for 8 seconds after Fist of Fury ends. There are 3 parts of this that tell me that they're actually listening to Windwalker feedback for maybe one of the first times ever. They fixed so many problems with this one button. They made haste probably matter alone because Fist of Fury is the majority of your damage in this expansion, which it should be, by making it scale off of haste. And it affects the whole chi economy thing we talked about later. But let's just focus on this button. Fist of Fury does 10% more damage every time it deals damage, resetting when it ends. You no longer cancel Fist of Fury or clip it. Excellent. At the end, your auto attack speed is increased by 60% for 8 seconds after Fist of Fury ends. One of the issues with Fist of Fury is you don't auto attack during it, and things like Thunder Fist work when you auto attack targets. And now, when this ends, you will have extra auto attacks, and that makes up for the fact of your Fist of Fury, and it means you can actually go through your entire Thunder Fist charges. During all of my dungeons, Thunder Fist was my 3rd or 4th damage, purely because it's proccing much more because of this button. Also, there's extra auto attack synergy. Your auto attacks have a 20% chance to kick your target, dealing 180% attack power or physical damage, and increasing your damage dealt by 5% for 5 seconds, right? So that there's a little synergy with auto attacks there. The last expansion, you would have laughed at this. Now it feels like a combo with fists. And Wind Fury matters, right? Before, Wind Fury didn't matter for monks. Okay, continuing on. So again, we're focusing more on single target here. So let's take the Rising Sun Kick node. Rising Sun Kick increases the damage the target receives from you by 4% for 12 seconds, and instances may overlap. This works like Iron Fur and not Festermite. So best possible version this could work on. Rising Sun Kick feels good in all scenarios because it is increasing, well, mainly single target scenarios, but getting extra resets on Rising Sun Kick feels great because you are just turbo piping. Okay, which makes things like Fury of Zwen feel a lot better. Oh, well, I mean, you know what I mean. Okay. The Ascension versus this, kind of hard to tell. We need to spend a few more points here to move on. I don't know if you'd take both of these. Let's see. You would either take Tiger Palm damage or Blackout Kick, Crit Strike, and Crit Dam. We'll maybe hold off on this. Like, right now, I kind of want to take the auto attack thing and Ascension. So we'll hold off on the AoE side because this is pure single. You take Glory of the Dawn. I still think this has the issue of not doing enough damage when it procs, but obviously the restoring chi part is good. The top of the tree feels a little bloated. I feel like in AoE you don't care that you're missing Tiger Palm damage and like Blackout Crit Strike chance, right? This feels like a weaker node and you don't need Mark of the Crane. And in AoE, you still get Ascension, you just don't get Glory of the Dawn. So I don't think it's really that bad. Guys, Meridian Strikes is no longer a precursor to get anything else, like it used to be with Spiritual Focus. Okay, let's grab things we know we want. We want Storm, Earth, and Fire, and we want Zwen. Easy, right? Let's talk about how they changed Storm, Earth, and Fire now that Serenity's gone. They kind of built Serenity into Storm, Earth, and Fire. Let's read this node. During Storm, Earth, and Fire, Rising Sun Kick reduces chi cost by 1 for 5 seconds, and Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown of affected abilities by an additional 1 second. Activating Storm, Earth, and Fire resets the remaining cooldown of Rising Sun Kick and grants 2 chi. This feels fucking nuts. This makes Storm, Earth, and it's the best of both worlds. It makes Storm, Earth, and Fire actually feel like more of a cooldown. You pop the fuck off in your Storm, Earth, and Fire, and it gives monks the versatility that they've always had, which is the ability to kind of have cooldowns whenever. We'll get into that more of that in a second. Plus having the cooldown actually feel like a cooldown. Personally, maybe some of you guys like Serenity. In that case, rest in peace. I fucking hated that button. And anytime Serenity was BIS, I wanted to log off the character and not play it for that season because I have a huge pet peeve with having mechanics overcap your character. I hate it. It didn't line up with your cooldowns. It had a weird cooldown timing. And you just sat capped on energy and chi. And I feel like they could have changed that in so many ways. But basically what they did was, hey, we like Storm, Earth, and Fire more, but hey, let's make it feel like a mini Serenity that doesn't overcap your resources and makes you feel powerful. If you play with this, it fucking owns. Okay. Then you have a choice node. Previously, Spiritual Focus, which was actually really interesting, was tied behind Meridian Strikes, which sucked. So you never took it. Now it's a choice mode with Drinking Horn cover. Both of these make sense. There are fights. In Mythic Plus, you'll probably pick the one that does the most damage. In raids, you're gonna change this on every fight. There will be fights where you want to have longer cooldown windows at specific times, and there's going to be fights where you need your clones up earlier at a certain point, and then you will take Spiritual Focus. I think this is an example of a great choice node. I was playing Spiritual Focus in Mythic Plus, and I really liked it. The uptime, having more clones uses feels better than them being longer, even though them being longer makes sense with Ordered Elements. One note on Ordered Elements, I wish this lasts 7 seconds. Instead of, I wish this lasted 7 seconds instead of 5. It would actually make the, like, rotation feel a little bit less clean, because you end up pressing Rising Sun Kick again when this is gone, and if it was 7 seconds, that would not be true. And then we have some more new nodes here. The cooldown of Rising Sun Kick is reduced by 1 second, and the damage of Blackout Kick is increased by 10. Not sure about that for now. Let's take Hit Combo, right? Because Hit Combo is just 6% passive damage. Sounds good. Strike of the Windlord, and let's talk about how they changed Strike of the Windlord. So Strike of the Windlord is exactly the same with this node, and Thunder Fist exists in the same version it existed in before, but there are 3 other nodes that directly support it now. Rushing Jade Wind, which is now a passive, and just happens when you press Strike of the Windlord. Just based on tuning, it'll just be an AoE button, right? It'll make this feel better. Okay. Then you have Gale Force. Targets struck by Strike of the Windlord are sent reeling from its impact, causing them to become vulnerable for 10 seconds. Your abilities have a 100% chance to affect the target a second time at 10% effectiveness as nature damage while they are vulnerable. So it basically turns this into like a 10% overall damage buff with some intricacies. So when certain things hit twice, they do things. Auto attacks, dual threat, you literally have double the chance to proc dual threat. Rising Sun Kick actually casts twice, right? So it makes Strike of the Windlord kind of like a damage cooldown you play around in a way. And then if you want Strike of the Windlord up more often, the next thing that goes off of it is Strike of the Windlord is reduced by 10 seconds and its damage increased by 20%. I was playing with these all weekend, or all Monday and Tuesday. Feels super, super good. Okay, so let's take the super OP Storm, Earth, and Fire. Let's take Spiritual Focus. Let's keep that. And then we can kind of talk about some of the stuff on the left. How many more points? We have 5 more points to spend here. I actually liked playing with Inner Peace. So Inner Peace was really bad last expansion because what it did was it increased your Tiger Palm damage by 10% and increases your maximum energy by 30. Remember how I told you your Chi economy is different? Because they wanted to make haste matter? At least at low levels with not a lot of stats, I really liked Inner Peace because what it does now is it reduces the energy cost on Tiger Palm. That felt incredibly good in the dungeons. Maybe that won't be the case when you have enough haste and you can move this point around. But it felt really good in the dungeon, so I would take that. Energy Burst, when you consume Blackout Kick, procced Blackout Kick, you have a 100% chance to generate a Chi. We're going to get more into that in the AoE portion. I think we're going to skip that for now. So we still have 4 more points. Let's take Teachings of the Monastery, obviously. What we could do is, let's just do this really quick here. Let's just grab Blackout Kick proc increases the next Blackout Kick by 175%. Super value. And let's grab Dance of Chi-Ji, just because Dance of Chi-Ji in single target is really fucking fun. Like, it's actually just really fun to have Dance of Chi-Ji in single target. Actually, let's go ahead and grab Energy Burst, because that would work for single target too. All right, boys. Let's grab Gale Force. Let's grab Communion with the Wind. We just talked about it. Okay, bad news. Jade Fire Stomp still exists. The only thing about this tree that I universally hate, because not only does it exist, Jade Fire Harmony still exists, which means that you will almost be certainly playing this because it just increases your damage by 12%. And I don't know. I haven't played with it, so I won't poo-poo it yet. But like, because of how powerful Jade Fire Harmony is, you're pretty much locked into playing this in an ideal scenario. But yeah, it doesn't reset, and it's a 15-second. It says 30-second recharge on. It was 15-second cooldown on PTR. It's not 30 seconds, by the way. This is a 15-second thing. So Jade Fire Harmony gives you a 10-second 12% damage buff, and this is a 15-second cooldown. It is wrong on the on Wowhead here. So not as bad, but I just don't like this button. But that could be just me. All right, let's go down the middle. Invoker's Delight grants haste for 20 seconds after summoning your Celestial. This is nerfed to 20% haste on PTR. probably makes sense because it used to give you a ton of haste because haste didn't mean anything for you, but now haste, I assume, will be good. So them nerfing this kind of makes sense. You really feel the haste when this is up. So you take that, transfer the power, always goated. Zwen's battle gear makes the entire class work. Those are all pretty basic, right? All right, here we go. Sequence strike. You have a 100% chance to gain Blackout Kick proc after consuming Dance of Chi-Ji. So after you get a Blackout Kick proc, your next Blackout Kick does a 175% chance. It also guarantees procs a Dance of Chi-Ji. Even in single target, that feels incredible. I'm a fan of... we're building a fun tree here, so we can do that. And then let's add Whirling Dragon Punch. So I, like a lot of other people, saw Whirling Dragon Punch last expansion and was like, I don't know, I just feel like I don't ever really want to play this. Mainly because Zwen's battle gear took its place in the rotation. Like, the reduction of all of these things made it feel like Whirling Dragon Punch was less needed in your rotation. All right, that changes in this expansion, motherfuckers. We can do two things. We can either make Whirling Dragon Punch have a 100% chance to activate Dance of Chi-Ji, which in AoE would be great. Or, what would also be good in AoE and single target, is Whirling Dragon Punch grants 4 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery, and Teachings of the Monastery can now stack up to 8 times. Guys, the feeling of having a Blackout Kick proc go off, which means your next Blackout Kick does 175% increased damage, and then you rip 8 of those motherfuckers and just watch mobs' health just get deleted, is incredibly satisfying. Not to mention, I don't know where the exact talent is, but there's a talent that gives you a chance. Your Blackout... Oh, I think it's a hero talent. One of your hero talents gives you a 15% chance per Teachings of the Monastery consumed to give you back a Teachings of the Monastery. So sometimes you'll press this and hit 8 Blackout Kicks, and then, which also cleave, by the way, and it'll give you back, like, I've seen 6 come back before, like, just high roll crazy. It just feels nuts, and super fun. So let's go ahead and take that one just for fun factor, and we're talking about single target. And look, boys, we still have 2 points. We got all the shit. We have 2 points. We can get Jadefire. We could get Fury of Zwen and Zwen's Bond. We could get Sky Touch. You could spend... Here's one issue I have with the tree, is like, at least they're not required to get anywhere, but picking Rising Star feels like shit still. Even picking Spinning Crane Kick points, these, I feel like you'll never interact with these 2 points or these 2 points. But the rest of the capstone tree fucking bangs. So, big fan. Huge fan. So, I don't know. What do you guys think for single target? Think we grab Fury of Zwen, maybe a little Sky Touch? In one Sky Touch window, we could get a Rising Sun Kick, a Strike of the Windlord, Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, Whirling Dragon Punch, Blackout Kick. With enough haste. In a scenario where you're doing 50% more crit. Holy fuck. Oh yeah, by the way, AoE Touch of Death has gone forever, which is very good for monks. It was kind of fun to press AoE Touch of Death, except for the fact that you constantly wanted to press it twice, delete your mastery, and then also it took too long to actually proc, so you couldn't get it off and you were sitting there spamming it. And it was a large portion of your damage, which sucked because it was fake, not real damage. Like, yes, it was real damage, but like you were... like actual damage, but you were doing it to a pack that was already dying that you could have just killed slowly while walking to the next pack, and you killing it early didn't really matter. So like you overkilled a lot with it, and you ended up it was on your meter, but it made your class look better than it was, and that throws off the perception of balance. So I think it being gone is so good for so many reasons. Touch of Death is still important, and it's single target, and you get a buff from it, but it's just way less impactful. Just way better gameplay with this. All right, that's fucking goated, right? All right, let's talk about AoE. Very briefly. This will be much shorter because we already talked about most things. Can I just do this? Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so we do Fist of Fury, grab this, grab that. Tiger Palm damage is interesting. I'm gonna hold out on this. I initially am like, Tiger Palm damage, fuck that. Bro, I did a dungeon and Tiger Palm was like my 6th damage, and it was like decently up there. And there's another node that gives you stacking Tiger Palm damage. Sounds boring, but potentially strong. So let's go down and grab Mark of the Crane because we're AoEing, right? And then we still have 5 more points to spend up here, and we need to grab this. So let's grab Acclamation. Let's grab Ascension. And then maybe we'll leave off Dual Threat for now, although seems pretty good. Ascension is definitely good for AoE, but yeah. Let's grab that. Tiger, Ordered Elements. Let's grab Spiritual Focus. Let's grab Hit Combo, Strike of the Windlord, Thunder Fist. This time, let's assume Rushing Jade Wind is tuned well. Let's grab that. And then we have 4 more points to spend. We could get Teachings of the Monastery. We could get Courageous Impulse to get to Dance of Chi-Ji, and then 1 more. So we could either get Energy Burst for more energy economy. We could grab Jade Ignition for the first time ever, because last expansion it was tied under Inner Peace for no reason. So you could just never access it. Now it's here, so we could grab that. We could also grab Inner Peace for better energy economy. If Rushing Jade Wind isn't tuned well enough, which is I think currently the case on Alpha, but that could be changed instantly. I took Inner Peace just for better economy. Sorry, actually, you would take Shadowboxing Shreds for sure. The only thing that's weird is like I kind of want to get Dance of Chi-Ji, but I don't. Courageous Impulse is really good. Blackout Kick was literally my top damage in one of these dungeons. I can show you actually the end of one of my dungeons, and I looked at my breakdown. But yeah, okay, we got some AoE stuff. I still think Gale Force and Communion is insane because this just buffs your AoE so much. Still get this. Still get all this good stuff. Not that. I ignored the Spinning Crane Kick thing. I took Whirling Dragon Punch. Maybe you take Dance of Chi-Ji and AoE, but I still think the Teachings of the Monastery thing is broken. And you have 2 points. So basically, AoE to single target doesn't change too many of your talents. You just kind of grab a little bit more of this stuff and you make Blackout Kick cleave. But I don't know. You have a lot of stuff you can get here. They brought Last Emperor's Capacitor back. I don't know if it'll be strong again. Never liked Zwen's Bond. Maybe this is a Jadefire angle. But yeah. You're one of the classes that has very similar talents potentially in an AoE versus single target scenario, but also those classes are also usually really good. So, not sure. Yeah, Bone Dust Brew is gone, so. Anyways, I'm not going to spend much more time on Windwalker, but just know that I'm really happy. A lot of good changes. Last Emperor's Capacitor is in a weird location. Yeah, it's in a weird location behind Dance of Chi-Ji. Definitely true. So, woo. All right. Sorry. For people who are not into Windwalker, you had to let me get my bid out there. All right. What do we do here? Do we look at the new hero talents? Let's look at the new hero talents, and then let's listen to some interviews. What do we look at first, boys? We have Hunter, Sentinel, Mage, Sunfury, Monk, Master of Harmony, Priest, Oracle, which was remade because old Oracle was super stinky. We have Priest, Voidweaver. Well, wait, Soul Harvester was already... Did they remake it? All right, 1 second. We got to pull something up, too. All right, boys, we got to pull it up. We currently have a running tier list of... This was before they were ever played. This was based on initially reading them, getting some general feedback on them, and just based on their overall quality level and their how well they got their theme. Okay, so these previously were unreleased. These were really bad, but I think we're going to move Oracle to unreleased now because they remade it. We'll redo it. We're going to look at this more at the end. But this is kind of where things stand for me. Not speaking for everyone, of course. All right, let's check it out. Is Mage about to be 3 out of 3 super insane? Maybe. Let's see. All right, Hunter, Sentinel. The Sentinel tree is for marksmanship and survival hunters. Sentinel. Your attacks have a chance to apply Sentinel on the target, stacking up to 10 times. While Sentinel stacks are higher than 3, applying Sentinel has a chance to trigger an implosion, causing a stack to be consumed on the target every second to deal arcane damage. Okay, so usually you can tell if these trees are good just by reading the first thing. Not wowed by this, but I need to see a lot more. I mean, this is setting up the tree to have a lot of interaction with these Sentinel stacks, so we need to kind of see that. Let's go to the left. Each time Sentinel deals damage to an enemy, you gain an Absorb Shield equal up to 1% of your max health up to 10. That's actually going to be really good for sustain. I think that's going to do a lot of healing. You guys already know how I feel about defensive bloat, so I won't give you that spiel. When you apply Sentinel on a target, you have a 15% chance to gain a second stack. Okay. Oh, RNG in the short term, over a long fight, this will always average out. Let's see. Whenever a Sentinel deals damage, The cooldown of True Shot and Coordinated Assault is reduced by 1 second up to 15 seconds. Okay, that's one choice node. I, generally speaking, love things that reduce cooldowns of other spells. But some classes, having your cooldowns be randomly 15 seconds earlier changes nothing because you end up holding it anyway. I don't know how Marksman works. Question. Marks Hunters. If I'm going to ignore Survival because no one plays that spec. If True Shot is 15 seconds earlier because of this choice node, will that feel good potentially? Max, as a PvPer, please stop talking about defensive bloat. Well, first of all, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And then defensives are all PvPers care about. Actually, I had a conversation with Rookery, and he agreed that a big issue with PvP's current gameplay is the fact that there are actually too many defenses as well. You press it when you have it. Okay, then it's just good, right? Okay. For 8 seconds after activating True Shot, all abilities are guaranteed to apply Sentinel. Ooh. That could blast depending on some other stuff. Let's read the middle. When you apply Sentinel to a target not affected by Sentinel, you apply 1 additional stack. So the first time you hit any enemy that doesn't have Sentinel, you immediately give them 2. When a target affected by Sentinel deals damage to you, they are rooted for 3 seconds, may only occur every 1 minute per target. It's a PvP thing. Sentinel starts dealing damage. The target is snared by 40%. So hunters in PvE will always snare something by 40% the first time they touch them if they're playing this, which is insane. Marksman. Multi-shot causes any target affected by Sentinel to explode, dealing arcane damage by up to 6 targets within 8 yards. Okay, that's massive. I mean, I was looking for a way for this to apply to AoE, and that makes total sense. The first time... Wait, aren't Marks Hunters going to have, like, crazy burst? Because, like, the first time you hit something, it's going to immediately give them 2 stacks, which also means you're going to... Oh, no, it's multi-shot after they're applied by Sentinel. Still a lot of burst, yeah. Okay. Aim shot and rapid fire. Okay, deals more damage. Each time Sentinel deals damage to an enemy, it has a 15% chance to generate 5 focus. Ooh, energy economy. This is already sounding really good, by the way. Again, theme ignored. I don't know if this really nails any theme, but gameplay so far, stacking thing, chance to apply, cooldown reduction, and energy resource recovery, assuming you're not overcapping on this and that the cooldown reduction actually matters. Like, that sounds really good gameplay-wise. So, and not to mention, Eyes Closed is going to be super good for resource generation as well because of this thing. Okay. All Sentinel debuffs implode when a target affected by more than 3 stacks of your Sentinel falls below 20% health. Okay, so not only are you going to have good burst, but you're going to get the full value of these things when they get low. That's going to be super good in dungeons. And then Crescent Steel, targets you damage below 20% health gain a stack of Sentinel every 3 seconds. Okay, so like in a raid scenario, you'll probably take Crescent Steel for better execute, which is real. Okay, this I haven't even read the capstone yet. This shit bangs. Invigorating Pulse doesn't matter for MM. You have no idea if that's true, right? So you're saying based on the focus economy in Dragonflight, you having a chance to generate extra focus won't matter. You have absolutely no fucking clue what the focus economy will be in the War Within. There was even a class just with the release today that had their energy and chi economy completely changed. So you have no idea if that is the case or not. Okay, anyways, let's read the capstone. For every 15 seconds, your next wildfire or bomb or rapid fire summons a celestial owl. Oh, here comes the bird. That conjures a 10-yard radius lunar storm at the target's location for 8 seconds. Okay. An enemy affected by Sentinel within your lunar storm gets struck by arcane damage every 0.4 seconds. Any target struck by this effect takes 10% increased damage from you and your pet for 8 seconds. That seems fine. It's like kind of building off more of like the AoE part of this, and maybe that will be the theme. We were talking about this on the podcast, that what they can do more with these hero talents is make you visually see that you have them. Like Rider of the Apocalypse, it's impossible to not tell. There's fucking horsemen around you. With this, you will constantly see a lunar storm, so you'll know you're a Sentinel Hunter. Like, regardless of it changing your gameplay or not. But some of them, you can't tell at all. Like Shadowpan Monk, you actually do have no idea you're a Shadowpan Monk. It all happens in the background. It doesn't change your rotation. And like you don't look any different, right? But like they could do some shit like Wisdom of the Wall makes you turn into this shadow pan, like a thing of smoke comes down and you're like a panda or something. I don't know, like just some shit like that. This is going to be up almost all the time. Only thing that's kind of bad is like hunters really didn't like wild spirits for the sole reason as tanks could kite out of it. That could easily happen here. Like if you start, like you just need to know, like when you rapid fire, you're not going to want the tanks to move. So my only thought is maybe a better version of this is the Lunar Storm follows the enemy that you're targeting when you rapid fire. But maybe it won't matter because this isn't as each individual Lunar Storm isn't as impactful as wild spirits. But I could definitely see it being frustrating. And it happens pretty consistently, so. Okay, and then, yeah, this affects survival in some way. I just know nothing about it. No one plays it, so I'm just going to disregard that. All right, this is awesome. This is by far the best gameplay hunter tree. I mean, nothing is going to equal the theme of Dark Ranger for hunters, but this is one of the better gameplay. This is the best gameplay hunter one for sure. Big fan. All right, starting off today with a dub. Dubs in the chat. Giyat. Okay. Mage Sunfury. Can mages... Here's the question. Can mages get their third tree that are all fucking insanely good? Let's see. Arcane and Fire. Every 4 times you consume clear casting or 6 times you consume a hot streak, you conjure a Spellfire Sphere. And then while you're out of combat, you will slowly conjure them over time. What that does is it just increases your spell damage by 4% and stacks up to 3 times. Okay, we've got some potential. Cool looking icon too. Consuming Hot Streak or Clear Casting grants you 3 or 2% haste for 10 seconds. That can overlap. I wonder if that's Iron Fur or Fester Might. Your Prismatic and Flame Barrier now grant 5% avoidance while active and 5% leech for 5 seconds when it breaks or expires. They not going to do the whole spiel. Adding defensives to mages is lunacy. But they're adding defensives in every class hero talent tree, so it's going to happen. Hopefully they remove defensives from all classes with an extreme amount of them universally outside of these trees. Okay, that's also not super powerful for what it's worth. Overflowing Power. When you cast Arcane Surge or Combustion, its duration is extended by 2.5 seconds maximum for each Spellfire Sphere. Okay, up to 2.5. That's the first one, so longer cooldowns. Sunfury Execution. Arcane Bombardment damage has increased to 130%, and it now deals 100% damage against targets below 35% health. Okay. Fire Searing Touch damage bonus threshold increased to 35%. And, yeah, I know what Searing Touch does. Oh, I didn't know what Arcane Bombardment is, but I recognize that talent, but I just read it for whatever reason. Okay, so it's an Execute talent, right? So this one is, do you want longer cooldowns or do you want Execute? Very powerful node, for sure. Okay, Invocation, Arcane... Wait, what? When you cast Arcane Surge or Combustion, you summon an Arcane Phoenix to aid you in battle. Your Arcane Phoenix aids you for the duration of your cooldowns, casting random Arcane and Fire spells. Over its duration, your Arcane Phoenix will consume each of your Spellfire spheres to cast an exception. This fucking owns. Like, maybe this thing is tuned to do 0 damage, but... the actual feel of this is fucking sick. And I wonder what the exceptional spells are. That's going to be fun. Okay, let's keep going. Your Arcane Phoenix now has a chance to cast Gravity Lapse or Supernova as exceptional spells. I don't know what the fuck that does. And will periodically spell steal buffs from nearby enemies. That kind of doesn't matter. Probably a PvP thing. Gravity Lapse replaces Blast Wave. The snap of your fingers warps the gravity around your target and the 2 other nearby enemies, suspending them in the air for 3 seconds. Upon landing, they take arcane damage. What the fuck? I'm assuming that was already a thing? What the fuck is that? That's a new spell? That looks insane. All right. Summoning your Arcane Phoenix grants you a sphere. Your Arcane Phoenix can now cast Greater Pyroblast and Arcane Surge when casting an exceptional spell. Fucking why not? I'm holding the capstone. Conjuring a Spellfire Sphere caused your next Arcane Blast or Arcane Barrage to deal 50% increased damage, and Conjuring a Sphere caused your next Pyroblast or Flame Strike to deal 100% increased damage. Okay. Glorious Incandescence. Consuming Burden of Power. What's Burden of Power? This previous thing. Yeah. Okay. Consuming Burden of Power caused your next cast of Arcane Orb to call down a storm of 8 meteorites on its target that it damages. Each meteorite reduces the cooldown of Arcane Orb and generates an Arcane Charge. Fucking... Oh my god. Fire consuming a burden of power causes your next cast of Phoenix Flames to call down a storm of 8 meteorites, and each single one reduces the cooldown of Fire Blast by 0.5 seconds. Very cool. Spellfire spheres can now stack up to 5 times choice node, or generating a sphere while your Phoenix is active causes it to cast an exceptional spell. Okay. Let's see if this gets any better. While your Arcane Phoenix is active, you gain twice as many stacks of Mana Addiction. They are addicted to that shit. Well, this is when your Arcane Phoenix expires, it empowers you to grant Arcane Soul for 3 seconds, which is just Arcane Missiles at a 100% chance to proc clear casting, plus an additional 1 second for each exceptional spell. So you could just get multiple clear casting procs off of Arcane Missiles guaranteed when it expires. And then also for fire, it'll be the same thing, except Pyroblast and Flame Strike will have no cast time and are guaranteed to critically strike. So for probably up to 6 or 7 seconds, you're going to be machine gunning pyros that crit and are instant. This is probably better than the other two. This is probably the best one. Not to mention Arcane Phoenix, bro. All the like Shadow Flame stuff in this game is so goated. Like Arcane Fire combo, that visual is so sick. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck is that? Dude, mages are just living in a different world. Absolutely insane. Holy shit. Okay. Monk, Master of Harmony, Brewmaster, and Mistweaver. Tank and healer trees have always been kind of interesting. Oh, I didn't rank the Hunter Sentinel one. I think Sentinel was really cool. I think Sentinel's like almost really insane. It's like definitely top of really cool. Store Vitality from 20% of your damage dealt and 10% of your healing. For 10 seconds after casting Celestial Brew, your spells and abilities draw upon the Stored Vitality to deal 25% additional damage over 8 seconds. So after Celestial Brew, you do hella damn. Okay, same thing for Mistweavers, except for 10 seconds after Thunder Focus Tea, your spells and abilities draw upon that to deal 25% additional healing. So it makes your Thunder Focus Tea turn you into a Giga Healer. Okay? Chi Burst and Chill Wave did 100% increased damage. Pretty basic. Tiger's Lust reduces the remaining cooldown of roll. That's super whatever. Tiger's Lust grants 20% speed up to 2 allies near its target. That's... Wait. Okay, no. I thought it was going to grant Tiger's Lust to 3 targets. That would be insane. That second one's also bad. And yeah, just like compare this to the one we just read, by the way. Rising Sun Kick, Black Kick, and Tiger Palm damage enemies in a line through their primary target. Depends on the damage it does. Could be nice, though. Middle, Purified Spirit. When Aspect of the Harmony ends, which is the first thing, any remaining vitality is released as damage over 8 seconds, split amongst the targets. Same thing with healing. That's randomly also doing damage right now. I'm pulling the whole instance on Alpha. Needs to fix that. Harmonic Gambit. During Aspect of the Harmony, Expel, Harm, and Vivify. Withdraw Vitality to heal. Okay. So extra healing for Brewmaster when it's up if you need it. And during Aspect of the Harmony, Rising Sun Kick, Black Kick, and Tiger Palm also withdraw Vitality. Okay, so it's a damage buff as well as a healing buff for Mistweaver, and a healing buff as well as a damage buff for Brewmaster. Cool. But it's a choice node, though, right? So kind of depends which one you want. Celestial Brew is 1 additional charge. Oh, that's nice, right? That's gotta feel good, right? That's fucking massive. Wait, that's like fucking insane. Like what you kind of like build a fight, how you're gonna tank a raid fight at least kind of around Celestial Brew. That is gonna make you way more versatile, man. That's insane. That's fucking crazy. And then Mistweaver, Thunder Focus Tea has 1 additional charge. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck healers do. Dude, this one node is fucking crazy. This should be like a capstone or something. This is like more powerful than everything I just read so far combined. Okay. Chi Burst, increased vitality store by 25% for 10 seconds. Rising Sun Kick, Blackout Kick, and Tiger Palm contribute. Yeah. It's hard for me to understand exactly how powerful vitality will be, so I'm just, Let's read this first. Casting a physical spell or ability increase the damage of your next fire or nature spell by 5% and vice versa. Stacks up to 5. So it'll just keep stacking. So you're never going to think about this, really. Well, maybe you would. Maybe, like, if you want to revival soon, you would make sure that you cast 5 physical spells before it, so you just get the fattest revival of all time. Like, is that a nature spell? I'm assuming it is. And then for Brewmaster monks, like, you could get the fattest breath of fire, something like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's some... Okay, that's kind of interesting, actually. I think maybe more interesting for healers than tanks, but yeah. Purifying Brew removes 10% additional stagger and causes you to absorb up to some incoming stagger. What? I'm just gonna, that's, you know. When casting yourself, your single target healing spells heal for 10% more than granted. Okay. And, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, are you sure these aren't flipped? Fortifying Brew applies a Chi Cocoon, and Mistweaver Fortifying Brew grants stagger? That has to be flipped, right? Does anyone else think that those are just flipped? They are not. That is accurate. Really? I mean, Mistweaver monks getting stagger during their Fortifying Brew would definitely be super crazy. Like, that on top of 20% health and DR. Okay, let's go over both scenarios. Brewmasters giving themselves a full power Chi Cocoon, which let's just call it Monk Bubble, guys. Ain't no one call it. Wait, is Chi Cocoon Monk Bubble? Is that what that's called? Is that what that thing is supposed to be? No? Chi Cocoon isn't Life Cocoon. What the fuck is a Chi Cocoon? Why do you guys have two cocoons? It's from Chi-Ji. You're not helping me. What does it do? It's a smaller shield. Oh, that stinks. Okay. So Mistweavers are probably hoping that they get a 20% stagger. Sounds good. Okay, that's way less cool. I thought that was going to give you a life cocoon. That would be fucking insane. Okay. Casting Purifying Brew, Swords Vitality. Yeah. All right, let's read the bottom. Aspect of Harmony deals damage as a chance to spread to a nearby enemy. When you directly attack the affected target, as a chance to intensify as a Brewmaster. And then Mistweaver, when it heals, as a chance to spread to a nearby ally. When you directly heal an affected target, as a chance to intensify. Targeted, damaged, or healed by your Aspect of Harmony takes 10% increased damage or healing from you. Okay, so damage. I mean, overall, this seems great. It definitely had us in the first half, and then this made it fucking way better. This one node could have been the capstone. Little damage windows, little healing windows, ways to like buff specific spells. I mean, it's hard to tell because we just read this abomination, like in a good way. I don't tank or heal in this class anymore, so unsure what the community feedback is. Maybe I'll wait to hear more of that. But I can just know Brewmaster alone, just getting a second charge of Celestial Brew is at least going to feel different, feel really good. Like bottom of really cool. Yeah, probably something like that. Let's just make it up. There we go. Woo. All right, here we go. Priest Oracle. All right, boys, it's been remade. When Oracle first came out, it was a power infusion replacement that had maybe one of the worst gameplay loops I would have ever seen. Let's see what we're looking at. Premonition. Oh, no. Looks like the gameplay's still here. Oh, so maybe when they said they were going to remake it, they said they weren't going to base it around power infusion as a replacement, but it looks like it's okay. Well, let's okay, guys, clear mind, clear mind, clear thoughts. Open mind. All right. New button, Premonition. 1 minute cooldown. Gain access to a spell that gives you advantage against your fate. Using your abilities rotates through the available spells. Premonition of Piety increases your healing done by 5% and causes 50% of overhealing on players to be redistributed on up to 3 nearby allies for 10 seconds. That seems pretty good. Premonition of Insight reduces the cooldown of your next 3 spell casts by 5 seconds. And then Solace, your next single target healing spell increases your target's healing received by 25% for 10 seconds. Okay, so Solace stinks. The other two sound really interesting. Okay, it's a 1 minute CD too. Is it supposed to be Piety? Is that why you guys are making fun of me? I'm saying Piety. It's got to be Piety, right? I'm going to call it Piety. All right, let's go down the left. Increases the damage absorbed by Power Word Shield by 10% and healing of Prayer Mending by 10. Okay, whatever. Power Word Shield can apply 1 stack of Prayer Mending to your target. Prayer Mending casts apply a Power Word Shield to your target at 20% effectiveness. And this one's under construction. Okay, so this was actually part of the Oracle tree that I liked, was the left side. And it had, like, Prayer of Mendings going out when you were Power Word Shielding stuff. And then this other node, which is still under construction or whatever, this like, gave you some synergy and CDR and some weird shit like that for Prayer of Mendings going off. I think there's a lot of stuff to be done there. That sounds really cool. So I'm really interested to see what they do with this. I'm actually liking this so far. Increasing the duration of Atonement by 1 second and Renew by 3. Cool. Reduces the cooldown of Purify by 2 seconds. So they'll be the only healer in the entire game with a 6-second Dispel. And that kind of makes sense. It's the only hero talent that is shared between 2 healers. And I don't think that's a huge problem. Like, literally the only fight this would have ever mattered for so far. Like raid fight is Fire Rack. I mean, I guess technically Tindral you could dispel earlier, but like I don't know, you wouldn't have done that. So super not important. Anyways, when an ally walks through your angelic feather, you are granted 100% of its effect. I think you're gonna take that almost all the time. Maybe you'll take the shorter dispel in dungeons just in case something goes wrong, because then like people can't steal your speed. I'm not sure. Shout out to Priest, though. Hopefully their talent tree in this expansion will allow them to get a choice node for life grip to grip you to a target. No reason why that doesn't exist. Reduces the cooldown of premonition by 6 seconds to make it a 54-second cooldown. Strange. And then clairvoyance doesn't exist yet. Right side. Premonition causes your next powered radiance heal or prayer of healing cast to be instant and cost 15% less mana. Well, that's kind of nice. That's going to feel good. Reduces the cooldown of powered life by 3 seconds and allows it to be usable on targets below 50% health. Pain suppression reduces damage taken by an additional 10%, and Guardian Spirit lasts an additional 2 seconds. I don't think that really matters. Like, if you PS someone, they're alive, whether it's 40% or 50, right? Fine. Premonition gains an additional charge and now only rotates to the next spell when you cast Premonition. Wait. Premonition gains an additional charge, so you have 2 charges of this now, on potentially a 54-second cooldown. And now it only rotates to the next spell when you cast Premonition. Oh, I see. I didn't read this initially. Using your abilities rotates through the available spells. How this was made before was you had to wait for it to rotate to the right one. But if you want the second one, like you would just cast one spell and then press it again. Like, so it'll just rotate easily. There's only 3 things. But then here it says it only rotates to the next spell when you cast Premonition. So this guarantees that you will go through them in order. I don't think you would ever take that. I think that's like I don't want to think about this, which is probably really smart because I think a lot of people won't want to think about this. I think like good players will never take that because you're going to want specific ones at specific times. I think it's good that this exists though, for sure. And then the opposite one for that, if you play the game, is Premonition's effect is increased by 30% if the divine spell is different than the previous Premonition. Okay, so just incentivizes you to use different ones, which you will never use Solace. You'll probably just go, if you care enough about it being 30% more powerful, you'll just go back and forth between Insight and Piety. Okay, when your Power Word shield is fully absorbed or your Prayer of Mending heals, gain a stack of Grand Reveal. At 150 stacks, you gain an additional charge of Premonition. So this is going to be better for Holy, right? Because they're going to have a lot more Prayer of Mending stacks going off. Like, Disc is just going to... Basically, every cast of Power Word shield is going to give you 2 as Disc. Right? Because you're getting a Prayer of Mending given by this thing. And then for Holy, you're getting 6 Grand Reveal stacks every time you press Prayer of Mending. Something like that. So maybe just better for one than the other. I don't know. I kind of like this. This sounds kind of interesting. I don't know if I don't know what their other options are for Priest. I don't know if we've seen them yet. I'm not a healer Priest though, so my opinion, like, turbo doesn't matter. But I don't hate this. This is way better than it was before. I'm probably going to hold off on takes from this until I hear from some other people. I don't feel confidently enough to... Yeah, I don't know. Like, I could see Insight being really interesting for both specs. Like, reducing the next 3 spell casts by 5 seconds could have some cool combos that don't exist currently. I could see Piety... Piety. Piety. I could see Piety being really fucking good when you're in your cooldowns, because if you're overhealing a lot, which most healers do in their cooldowns, it will just give you more value and keep people alive more. I don't know. I'll wait till I hear some takes from some reasonable Priest players. All right, guys. The very first look for Shadow and Disc's final hero talent. Let's see if it's sick. Shadow Priests are permanently down bad, so hopefully they get one that is cool. Mind Blast tears open an entropic rift that follows the enemy for 10 seconds. Enemies caught in its path will suffer shadow damage every 1 second while within its reach. Yay. Let's go down the left. Entropic Rift slows enemies by up to 80%, increase the closer... Whoa! Okay, they're adding so many slows to this game. Bro, an 80% slow is insane. The only thing that's better than that is the very first second of Death and Decay. And they have to be in it. That's fucking nuts. You could play around that. And it's a choice node as well, so if you don't want that, you don't have to get it. And then while Entropic Void is active, you move 20% faster. And also Void Torrent can be used while moving. Okay, they're going to take that all the time. Sounds good. One more under that. Shadow Word Death consumes absorb shields from your target. Oh, and this is... We were just talking about having a shield synergy earlier, so that probably is impacted by that. Dealing up to 300% extra damage to them and granting you 1% mana if a shield was present. Or 5 insanity if a shield was present. So, huge damage to shields. I haven't checked the raid dungeon journal a lot yet. Maybe there's some shields in there, but there's definitely multiple dungeon bosses with shields, and it seems intentional. Okay, and if you don't want that, summoning which is most of the time you're not doing damage to shields, right? Summoning an Entropic Rift empowers your next Power Word shield to be 80% more effective. So that's maybe... Is that your defensive option where you're just... Your Power Word shield on yourself is just twice as good? Okay. While Entropic Rift is active, your Atonement healing is increased by 20% for disc. Oh, and then also this is a disc tree, so that just kind of makes sense. While Entropic Rift is active, your shadow damage is increased by 10%. So after you cast Mind Blast, you just do 10% more damage. All the time? Are you going to have this open all the time? Is this on a cooldown? Wait, you didn't read the shadow part? Oh. Summoning an Entropic Rift grants you 1 charge of Mind Devourer. What the fuck does that mean? Mind Devourer is a free and stronger devouring plague. Got it. Cool. Down the middle. Void Blast. Entropic Rift upgrades Smite and Mind Blast into Void Blast while it's active. Sends a blast of cosmic void energy at the enemy, causing shadow damage. So just like a visual upgrade, I guess. That's good. Again, we talked about this on the podcast, but like from playing a bunch of different hero talents, it is very noticeable which ones make you visually feel like you are that hero talent. Some of them achieve this really well. Some of them don't. This looks like it will feel like that for sure. So it probably also hits harder. But this also means that this doesn't spawn Entropic Rift though, right? So like you're going to hit Entropic Rift. You're going to Mind Blast again, but that's not going to spawn a new rift. It's just a super OP Mind Blast you can do in this one, and then it's going to... Your next Mind Blast, when your Entropic Rift disappears, will open the next one. Is that correct? Void Torrent spawns the rift. Oh, am I missing... Oh, maybe... Mind Blast tears open an Entropic Rift. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. All right, anyways, let's keep going. I'll read more. I'm sure it'll make sense later. Tooltip is incorrect. Wowhead is bad, not you. Oh, got it. Okay, so Void Torrent open... Okay, everything makes so much sense now. Thank you. So Void Torrent opens the rift. And it turns Void Torrent into like a damage cooldown, and it also makes your Mind Blast giga powerful. Okay. Void Blast increases the duration of Entropic Rift by 1 second, up to a maximum of 5. Ooh. Love that. Love active gameplay extension of cool things like that. Atonement healing with Void Blast is 100% more effective. Oh, shit. That's pretty good, right? And then Void Blast generates 100% additional insanity on top of what Mind Blast would normally do. For Disc, Power Word shields are just 20% stronger. And for Shadow, your dots deal 20% increased damage. Love dots feeling powerful. Depth of Shadows. Shadow Word Death has a high chance to summon a Shadow Fiend for 5 seconds. Chance is increased against lower health targets. Okay, execute choice. And then transform your Shadow Fiend into a Void Wraith that casts Void Flay, dealing up to 50% additional damage, dealing more damage the higher health enemies. Okay, so just straight up, this is in a lot of like 5-minute dummy tests. This will just be a like whatever does more damage choice node. But in specific raid encounters, this will definitely be a fight specific choice node, which is really cool. Void Leech. Every 2 seconds, siphon an amount equal to 3% of your health from a nearby ally if they are higher health than you. That is really good. And also, people will die to that. There's going to be, like, it's going to happen, like, 1 in every 4 raid nights, someone's going to link their death log, and, like, within 2 seconds of them dying, you took 3% of their health, and then they died, which is awesome. Hopefully you can, like, choose which classes it steals from, too, like Augs and Moonkins. Fuck them. And then the other one is... You absorb 3% of all magic damage taken. Oh, wow. So this wasn't even their... oh, I was reading that for disc. That's why I thought that was their defensive thing. So you just straight up take 3% less magic damage, which is most dangerous damage. And absorbing shadow damage heals you for 100%. Absorbing shadow damage specifically heals you for 100% of the amount absorbed. So basically, if you take the second option, you take 3% less magic damage at all times, which is pretty good. And if you are on a boss that's dealing shadow damage to you, you will basically absorb or heal for 6% of the damage you take, which you could kind of look at as like a passive 6% DR, but not really. But nonetheless, very good. So that is definitely strong. Okay, capstone. So far, this fucking bangs. Collapsing Void. Each time Penance damage or heals, Entropic Rift is expanded by 1 yard. Shadow. Each time Devouring Plague does damage, ticks, is cast, Entropic Rift is expanded by 1 yard. After it ends, it collapses, rapidly dealing shadow damage up to 8 times to a random enemy based on how many times it expanded. Oh, each time it'll hit a random enemy? That's interesting. I wonder if it wouldn't just be your target. Either way, on single target, it's going to own. This is great. How does this look? That's what I'm interested in. The more I played Hero Talents on PT or on Alpha, the more it was obvious to me that you visually need to feel like you are that hero talent for it to feel awesome. I wonder how this looks. Frank says I have a video of it. Discord DMs? All right, I got it. Here's what Shadow looks like. Wait, what's... Oh, is that the Entropic Rift? And it's growing? Wait, let me see that Mind Blast, though. Oh, Mind Spike Insanity? No. Show me that Mind DB. Oh, you just casted it. Okay, so here it is. Mind Spike Insanity. Here comes the Void Blast. It's like, looks like a little beam. Okay, that looks sick. Dude, you totally feel like a Voidweaver. This is what I'm talking about. The theme is sick. You look like an absolute monster right now. That is my new thing you're going to hear me harp on in every stream that I talk about hero talents is you need to be able to look at a VOD of someone hitting a dummy over minutes of time, seconds of time, and you need to be able to tell that they are insert name of hero talent here. It's extremely important. Like, it's so fucking cool that if you don't have that, it feels like shit. Okay. Let's move on. Wait, sorry. I'm so confused. Didn't we already read Soul Harvester? Why is this on this post? Did this get remade? No, this is new? Bro, am I crazy? I thought we already looked at this one. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. It was the one we haven't looked. Okay. By the way, we're going to hold off on Oracle because I just want to hear some takes. I actually think it looks pretty good, but I want to hear from some actual healers first. Bro, Voidweaver's super insane. Looks insane. Looks like it plays insane. I'm putting it up there. Shadow Priests are actually happy for once. Amen. And have we looked at any other ones? No. Dude, Shadow Priest is going to have... Dude, Archon just sounds like it's going to be cool, too. I hope Archon is a play on Diablo 3 Archon, which is like, you know, like it was like a cooldown button, and you entered into a cooldown, and you were in Archon, and you just fucked shit up. And I hope Archon is like a strong cooldown for Shadow Priest, and it kind of felt like how like a deep insanity form used to feel. That would be fucking sick. Or Archon is just literally Surrender to Madness. Yep. But I don't know how that would apply to Holy Priest. Like, Holy Priests just have to keep healing, and if they stop healing, they just fucking die. Fucking get owned. Oh, you're not doing enough healing? See ya, kid. All right. Soul Harvester. The last Warlock one. Which, where are the Warlock ones right now? It's like Hellcaller and Diabolus were both sick. I don't know why. Is Hellcaller the one where you're spawning all the fucking demons from whatever? That one's definitely way better than it's listed here. Like, that is one of the coolest themes ever. No, that's Diabolist. Okay, well, Diabolist fucking pipes then. Okay, Hellcaller's real bad. Oh shit, get owned. Soul Harvester. And this is for Affliction and Demo. A demonic entity now inhabits your soul, allowing you to detect if a soul shard has a suck... Bro. Alright. Has a succulent soul when it's generated. Oh, it's going to make me say succulent every fucking... Dude. A sucky soul empowers your next Malefic Rapture, and reducing its soul shard cost by 1, increasing its damage by 20%, and unleashing your demonic soul to deal an additional amount of shadow damage. Okay, so cheaper Malefic Raptures when this happens. And I'm just assuming this just procs. Oh, no, okay. Certain soul shards are going to be succulent, which, by the way, is a small cactus. And you'll see on your soul shards that one of them is a small cactus. And you will then know that its soul shard cost is reduced. Okay, something like that. Yeah, kind of like Echoing Reprimand for rogues. Demonology. A succulent soul empowers your next Hand of Gul'dan, reducing its soul shard cost by 1, summoning 1 additional imp, and unleashing your demonic soul to deal additional amounts of shadow damage. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't play Warlock, and this all sounds very confusing to me. Can I, just on the first node, can I get a pog check? Or is it boring? Like, what's the deal? I know you haven't seen it get played yet. It's fine. Okay, meh. It's fine. Got it. Mid. Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul damage increased by 20%. Nightfall increased the damage of Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul by an additional 50%. And Shadow Bolt damage increased by 20%. Power Siphon increases the damage of Demon Bolt by an additional 20%. Okay, fillers doing more damage, kind of whatever. You also gain the benefit of Soul Burn when consuming a Healthstone, increasing its healing by 30% and increasing your max health by 20%. You always gain the benefit of Soul Burn when consuming a Healthstone. I don't know how frequent is Soul Burn used right now. I don't know how Soul Burn works. I know you can do it whenever you want. Does it just cost extra? It saves you a shard, basically. So pretty minimal impact, like quality of life, I'm assuming. Okay, Dark Pact now shields you for an additional 50% of the sacrificed health. Oh. Okay. So we're going to use that all the time. Got it. Okay, let's see. Damage dealt by your demonic souls increased by 10%. Consuming Nightfall and Demonic Core feeds the demonic entity within you, causing it to appear and deal shadow damage to your target. Unleashing your demonic soul bestows a fiendish entity into the soul of its target, dealing shadow damage over 10 seconds. When you kill a target, its tortured soul is flung into a nearby enemy. See, this theme might be sick, though. Like, the way that all of this sounds, this could look really fucking cool. Like, fucking souls flying around. When you kill a target, its tortured soul is flung into a nearby enemy for 3 seconds. This effect inflicts shadow damage to enemies within 10 yards every 0.8 seconds. I don't know. That sounds sick. When you kill a target, you have a chance to generate a soul shard that is guaranteed to be a succulent soul. Ooh, okay. Soul... What? Soul anathema damage increased by... Okay, this thing. Increased by 25%. Anathema? Is that another kind of cactus? Is this just a cactus tree? Consuming Nightfall and Demonic Core activates Shared Fate or Feast of Souls. Your Demonic Soul deals 100% increased damage to targets afflicted by your UA. Same thing, Hand of Gul'dan. While just doing damage to the main target. Fell Domination cooldown is reduced by 2 minutes, is one choice. Or Burning Rush no longer deals damage to you and increases your movement speed by an additional 30%. Okay, but it's now a 50-second cooldown. That's going to be very fight dependent, and also that choice node is making you choose. Isn't Fell Domination... What is Fell Domination? What does that mean? Instant demon summons? I mean, yeah, this just seems like a doggy choice node. The Burning Rush thing is interesting, but the cooldown would have to be much, much shorter than 50 seconds. That is fucking insane. Like 25 seconds, maybe. But even then, it wouldn't even really make sense as a choice node. Like, what are you fucking choosing between here? Okay, Corruption deals damage 25% faster, and Haunt grants Nightfall. And Wild Imp damage increased by 5%. Wild Imps that are imploded have an additional 5% chance to grant a Demonic Core. Soul Rot grants Shadow of Death for 15 seconds. While Shadow of Death is at... Wait, give me... Oh, that's this thing. While Shadow of Death is active, casting Malefic Rapture always invokes your Demonic Soul, and your Demonic Soul deals 10% increased damage. And Demo, Nether Portal, and Tyrant grant this for 15 seconds, so your cooldowns are more powerful. While Shadow of Death is active, casting Hand of Gul'dan always invokes your Demonic Soul, and your Demonic Soul deals 10% increased damage. Okay, so this is like aggressively mid gameplay. The whole thing just super mid gameplay. However, I can't wait until alpha comes back up tomorrow, because I think this could look fucking crazy. And that, I think that matters a lot. That's something that's less likely to get way better, where the tuning and the actual design of it can change. I think this could look fucking sick. And that's my new pet peeve. They need to look sick. Won't look better than Diabolist, that's for sure, yeah. Okay, so this seems mid. All right, so mid Soul Harvester, but may look cool. Voidweaver is sick, also looks sick. Oracle, I think, is a lot better than the previous one, but I'll hold out until I hear some healer opinions. It sounds like it could have some... I just don't know. Like, something like Piety or Insight, I would need to understand both of those specs to know what kind of combos you could do with that. And that could just make or break the entire thing. I have no clue. And it's also missing nodes, so you just can't know, right? Monk Master of Harmony seemed really cool. At least for Mistweaver, it seemed really cool. And Brewmaster just gets a second charge of Celestial Brew. Sunfury is probably the best one I've ever read. I think that's going to look sick, feel sick. Yeah, this one's fucking crazy. Mages are the main characters. And Sentinel was also really good. Really, really good. God, you know, mages are so fucking goated because, like, not only are all three of their hero talents really, really sick, but they all look very distinct. Like, Frostfire is going to have a aesthetic. Sunfury, you have a fucking arcane fire phoenix that's casting greater spells that you don't even have. Like, Spellslinger is going to be shooting out shards. Maybe Spellslinger, if anything, is less epic as far as the feel of it, but the gameplay of Spellslinger looked really good. So, yeah, the, goddamn. Goddamn. Preheat has a video of Sunfury. Wait, I kind of want to see that. Sunfury Fire Mage gameplay reveal. Yep, let's see the gameplay here. Sunfury Fire Mage gameplay. Let's see where you've... Okay, so that's the thing over your head to show you how many spheres you have. Okay, wait, hold the fuck up. He casts Combustion right now. He gets his Phoenix. And then after his combustion ends, right? Isn't that when you get the Machine Gun Pyroblast that always crit? Dude, what the fuck am I looking at? His owl's fucking shit up, too. Right? He's just pyroing right now for another, like, 5 seconds. Wait, I didn't see the meteors. When do the meteors come down? It says, I forget the... It was right over here. Here it is. Glorious Incandescence. Consuming Burden of Power, which is this. Conjuring a Spellfire Sphere. Oh, consuming, which they're consumed... When the fuck are they consumed? When you cast Pyro? When you cast Arcane Surge or Combustion, you summon an Arcane Phoenix. When it does that, it will consume... It's when the bird uses a spell. Okay. Oh, so you can see it when you're losing this... Wait, those meteors? Oh. And all of those are reducing your cooldown on... I just don't even get it. How are mages... He's just fucking spam casting Pyro after it ends. How do mages exist, man? That looks so fucking cool. That is insane. Holy moly.